Next on Cartoon Chat.
How about that pistachio ice cream?
No, wasabi.
Oh, same old, same old. What's up with you?
This is the Animation Conversation. I am, of course, one of your hosts, Bryan the Baltimorean. Find me there, find me here, find me at Cartoon Chat Podcast. Joined alongside the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that, well, he's always doing some wacky shit, so, you know, what has he got today?
Woo! King on biscuits.
What, are you about to immerse yourself into the world of, like, boredom?
Car.
PlayStation Move? Jesus Christ.
I already sprained my wrist because of it.
But yeah, it is the luck of Cars 2. Guys, this, of course, as we always do here on Cartoon Chat, at least I want to make sure I give everything its due, so we do a little bit of research, a little bit of dive into the stance of things going on. And just like we did with Cars 1, I wanted to make sure that you get the idea of Pixar and what Cars 2 was being introduced into. Because, as we talked about, Mark, going into Cars 1, like, Pixar was on a roll. Like, those movies were grand, and then you had Cars. And so, like, the expectations were rising. But here, it's even bigger. Like, so we're going to go ahead and get into the first part of this, which is, of course, just the rising to the challenge. This is we're going to briefly run through, like, how Pixar was building upon itself, the fact that they were assisting Disney, and they were still definitively the prominent animation studio. Thank you, Mark. Definitively the prominent animation studio against the competition. The four films that were like, let's talk about like the four films that were after Cars literally held that Pixar standard just as well, I'd say, as the four films.
I fucking forgot Toy Story 3 came before Cars 2.
Right? So like if you look at the pre-Cars, the four movies pre-Cars, right? 1. Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Monsters, Toy Story 2. From the latest to the earliest. Right? So, yeah. All four of those held the standard. We talked about them in Cars 1. Post-Cars, the four movies, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, and Toy Story 3, right?
All four are fucking brilliant.
All four are brilliant. All four stand out.
I haven't rewatched Ratatouille in fucking years.
And that's the thing. Is like all of them stand out well, and none of them kind of falter in sort of losing that Pixar storytelling. In fact, they all get better in terms of how people recognize them. This was the era of accolades, right? Here's the thing about the four movies between Cars 1 and Cars 2. All of them won Best Animated Feature. Now, this was the era of the Pixar bias. But look, whether there's Pixar bias or not, the fact that they won all four of these movies between Cars 1 and Cars 2, that just tells you the standard, at least, that they were holding at that time. We're not going to get into if they all should have won, and there were some snubs, notably Ponyo got shafted, obviously. But
what went over it?
That was 2008, I believe. Was that WALL-E or Up? I think it was WALL-E.
I think it's hard, but like I think both WALL-E and Up are creative stories.
Yes.
So.
But that's the thing. It's like that's how great they were. And the thing is, like, Up and Toy Story 3 both reached Best Picture nominations. Not just Best Animated Feature, Best Picture nominations. And then they also picked up in the original score Oscar.
I don't keep up with the awards, but I didn't know like
song.
I don't keep up with the awards, but I didn't know like animation can like actually get to Best Picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, it's weird because it's unfairly usually like, no, we're not going to do it. Especially more recently.
Well, that's an animated movie. I don't care how good it is. That was animated, so
it's trash.
Yeah, so it's like
it's not real.
We're not going to put it.
It's not real.
Like the animated movie is the best movie I saw this year, but like it's animated, so it can't be Best Picture.
Like Last Wish, clearly the Puss in Boots should have obviously been, I'd say, in that Best Picture category.
Oh yeah.
You know, but we're not going to get.
It didn't even win Best Animated, though.
It didn't, but it's
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio even should have been Best Picture.
I know, right?
And Best Picture nominated. But that's how big Pixar was. At the same time, right, like, the box office brilliance, all four of these films, all four of them, between Cars 1 and 2, made more than Cars 1. So you were seeing it, and the only one I think that was lower was, I think, it was either WALL-E or Up, where you had a little divot of performance, but they were all on essentially an increasing track. However, this is also the point of ballooning budgets. The average budget of the four Pixar films before Cars, right? The Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Monsters, and Toy Story 2, the average budget was $97.5 million. The four movies post-Cars budget average was $176.3 million. So this was not only the era of making a lot of money and being successful at it, but this is where we start to get into that dance of getting right around that $200 million budget. In fact, Toy Story 3 had a $200 million budget. So this is the beginning of how far do we build this balloon? How far does the balloon keep rising? And obviously we're seeing the effects of that, because since then through to the 2020s, almost every Pixar movie was at that staple point of, hey, we're going to just give you guys $200 million and you guys can play with it however you want. Because it was proof by this point. Oh yeah, they're going to
make some Oscar bait.
Yeah, they're going to make some grand movie, and by the way, also audiences are going to see it too. That was why they would get it. So, it was deserved, but it was massive, that budget number. The next thing I want to press into is the fact that, of course, we talked about this a little bit. We've also touched on this not only in Cars 1, but we've touched on this in Tangled. We've touched on this on Chicken Little. But the acquisition, Disney bought Pixar, $7.4 billion. One funny note, when Pixar was purchased by Disney, Steve Jobs had more shares in the Walt Disney Company than Michael Eisner and Roy Disney combined. He was once Pixar was acquired, he was the largest individual shareholder of Disney. Fucking Steve Jobs.
When did he die? I keep forgetting the year.
In 2011.
Oh, okay.
But like at the time he was, which is an interesting scenario. It's just a funny thing to think about. Like Steve Jobs at one point, like was the most important person in the Disney world at a certain point in time. But the two more important people were Edwin Catmull and John Lasseter. Now Lasseter became, once this acquisition happened, he became the chief creative officer of both Pixar and Walt Disney Feature Animation Studios.
Oh, sweet, more asses to touch.
And then,
give me a hug.
And Catmull,
I don't care if you don't want it.
That's just Mark on a casual day, not even recording. But and then Catmull became president of Pixar and Walt Disney Feature Animation, which also had Disney Toon Studios within it as well. Now, Lasseter had a little more creative wiggle room because he also became the principal creative advisor of Disney Imagineering. But the point is that once the Pixar acquisition would happen, the point is that Pixar would introduce its new and its valuable IP to Disney while building the Walt Disney Animation Studio to similar success. Pixar, like this Pixar duo, these guys were literally in charge of rebuilding what would become Walt Disney Animation Studios and sort of reassigning work to Disney Toon Studios. And it was strange to see that and read that the executives over at Disney actually, once the Pixar acquisition happened, were more than comfortable with the idea of just cutting out the Disney Feature Animation division because that was in such turmoil. You had Chicken Little, and the movies weren't doing as well as the Renaissance, so you had this
don't know how to do CG correctly.
Yeah, and it's like, that's crazy to think about. Like, just, if you imagine a track where, oh yeah, we're just not even gonna, like, that's just gonna fold, and it would just be Pixar. That's a weird window to think about.
Maybe the Robinsons looked iffy.
Yeah, like, but it's just a weird world. So, what they did was, like, again, they were tasked with rebuilding this. And these two, like, so over at Walt Disney Animation Studios, they rehired, the valuable animators from the past, notably from the 80s. And the key point was that they wanted to significantly separate Pixar's team from Disney's team because they wanted to have that development and storytelling specific to each of their own teams there. They wanted to get away from gatekeeping in executive systems. Now, that obviously didn't last too long because Lasseter himself became a gatekeeper. And they also idealized this Disney Story Trust, which was essentially just like the Pixar Brain Trust. There was this interesting idea that I appreciate where they continued traditional animation development along with the deeper CG investment that Disney wanted. So you had, obviously, Meet the Robinsons come out, you had Bolt, but you also had Princess and the Frog, and that's really respectable that they would go, okay, we at least need to still have those ties and see what happens.
Were they experimenting with shorts around the time? I forgot when Paperman came out.
They were also making sure that was happening as well. Paperman was 2010.
Because Paperman was like revolutionary.
That was huge.
For like a
huge
for like a freaking CG design, like sort of short. I think like that kind of style. I think like inspired Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse itself inspired a whole lot of shit. But I think Paperman is what helped inspire Spider-Verse.
Yeah, it's like at that point it was so ahead of its time. You wonder how much it costs even at that point in time.
Oh yeah,
and
like that was like one of the best tech demos right there.
Yes, and just getting it right and executing it. So I remember watching that as a kid. I mean, I was a teenager at that point, but watching it so many times
when you were young,
because I was like so like interested in how fluid it was and how well it looked. It was just very impressive for like 5 minutes or whatever. Like, and the journey, it was just a beautiful story, a little fun story, you know. Paperman deserves a lot of love. It's a beautiful little story there. But
was that like early? That before 2011 or
that was 2010, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
making sure I wasn't going too far.
Yeah. So yeah, but the point is like they were still running things they wanted things to run in a direction of, hey, let's have this stuff fuel successfully. So like I said, Princess and the Frog. Let's see how hand drawn the traditional style like succeeds. It did kind of well, but not significantly enough to keep the investment going. So they did a Winnie the Pooh film later on in 2011.
Oh my god, film that's so fucking good. That's gotta be a CartoonChat.
But that's the thing. It's like it just didn't make it's like no, people were clearly not as interested. Audiences, so
that's their fault. They should have tried harder.
Yeah, and what you also got was, again, we talked about Tangled. Like Tangled was an incredible work that they retooled. They're like, yeah, we're going to take the key points here. We're going to start over, try and make this more attractive to audiences of all ages, and it became a very fun film that is probably one of the better, I think one of the best original animated features from Disney in the 21st century. So they did a very good job in doing that. Simultaneously, they wanted to make sure that Disney Toon had something to do. So their goal was, we're going to push theatrical releases for Disney Toon, not just make them do the DVD stuff, even though that was still bread and butter. But by 2010, you had this Tinkerbell franchise that had started and continued to build.
It was like just 2 movies?
And by that point, it was only 2 movies, but it's like they were actually pushing to get Tinkerbell into the Best Animated Feature nomination because, hey, we really put a lot of resources into this. It had a little more budget. It has a story.
It's like both of them were direct-to-video.
The 2010 Tinkerbell and the Great Fairy Rescue apparently was not. That actually got a theatrical release apparently. So
they barely advertised it then.
Well, it made money.
As a kid, I remember
it made money. It made like $50 to $60 million box office. So
you bought that many tickets?
I did. No, but again, the point was, hey, what if we had a three-headed snake here of Pixar? Obviously, it had proved its success by 2010. It was well known, well recognized. No one could debate that Pixar was the juggernaut here. But Disney needed to rebuild itself. Can we make that Can we make that true? And yes, they were showing that they were turning the corner and doing it in interesting and experimental ways. And can we make Disney Toon a cheaper alternative that can compete with these sort of lower tier family features, but still it turns a profit? That was the goal. And it looked like everything was going in that sort of direction by 2010, So that's kind of where things were going, but at the same time, you still had this increasing competition. You're getting a lot of significantly stronger competitors, notably one that was all over the place at the time, and that was DreamWorks. Now, again, if there was one competitor that could just take on the strength that was Pixar, and also the Mouse House, it was DreamWorks, which of course was made.
Walking out the house and Mouse,
and which was made And from the fact that you had the creator that was coming from Disney and wanted to get revenge. And revenge is a dish best served with hundreds of millions of dollars of animation on the line, obviously. So, let's look at some of these end of the 2000s, in between Cars 1 and 2, competitions of the year between these two companies. In 2008, you had Bolt and Wall-E. One mid-movie, another great movie. Obviously one, Wall-E, one best animated feature. Now, on the other side of DreamWorks, you had Madagascar 2, you had Kung Fu Panda. Another massive, that's a cool back-to-back. I mean, Madagascar 2, some people don't like it. I think it's a good time, at least in theaters. I didn't really need to see it again and again and again. But I'd put Madagascar 2 better than Bolt, at least. And I love the characters there.
Okay, so, I know that, this didn't actually happen, but, imagine how embarrassing it would be if you accidentally had, Shrek 3rd in there instead of Madagascar 2. That'd be so, that would make you look so fucking stupid. Imagine that happened. Just imagine it.
It really would. Yeah, it really would. It almost would be as embarrassing as bringing it up after we moved on past.
I know, that'd be so embarrassing!
I know.
So embarrassing!
But, who would you, just briefly, who would you rather have on that list? I love Wall-E, but, those are two solid movies. And this is when I'm talking about the closest competitor to this sort of Mouse House Pixar combination. DreamWorks was right there with it, and it's very impressive.
Wall-E is fucking great, but if we're going for not the movies themselves, but poster appeal.
Yeah.
Madagascar 2 is coming off a really good movie, a really good first movie.
Yeah,
so this is a good franchise already, and because Madagascar isn't one of the best animated movies ever, but it is a solid ass movie. It's funny, it's fast paced. It is just great.
Voice cast is fantastic. Yeah.
It's not Oscar bait or anything. It's just a fun time.
Absolutely.
Which is a great great kind of good for a cartoony movie. And Kung Fu Panda again kind of hits the right marks for kids who are into kids are cartoons.
Kung Fu.
It's just action and good anthropomorphic character designs. And Jack Black and comedy.
Yes, I remember the commercials for those promoting the movie on Cartoon Network, and Nick would always bring up the skadoosh moment between Tai Lung and Po there. So yeah, just a lot of great marketing for that movie. But again, that's the type of competition you had. Another big one, 2010.
Sorry, just going back, it was also Bolt. It's alright, but it seems to be a movie about a super dog.
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm cool. I'm cool watching a super dog.
Exactly. I was very excited to watch a fucking super dog movie. I was very hyped for that. Then we got Bolt, and fuck that movie, because it had there was a great possibility, great concept to just work with, and what did we get? Fucking Road Trip.
No, we got fucking Dollar Store Toy Story.
2010. Alright, 2010, you had Tangled and you had Toy Story 3. I don't think there's anything on this list that could top the hype of Toy Story 3 in premise of the trailer.
And Tangled looks fucking good.
And Tangled, again, when they started to market this movie, they were trying to reach all audiences, so good attempts here. What did DreamWorks do? Boom! Megamind. Boom! How to Train Your Dragon. Boom! Shrek 4. Right? How to Train Your Dragon might have been the least interesting, just because, again, it's a boy and a fucking creature, and they're becoming friends, and he's a nerd, and he's gonna figure himself out, and he's got a crush on things. Typical story, cool. I'd say, what's more interesting, obviously, out of the DreamWorks collection, Shrek 4 has the most appeal. Megamind, I'd say, also in its trailers, very interesting.
Yeah. Did Megamind was successful in the box office?
It was middling.
Okay, because the thing about Megamind is it is way, way ahead of its time, because people look back at that movie fondly now because it's a good diversion of the superhero craze now.
Yes.
As if it was made during the MCU craze. We got. There will be just Iron Man and Hulk.
47,000 films in the MCU.
Yeah, This is what, like...
This is after...
And it just, like, it fits perfectly within, like, the superhero craze.
Yes.
So, like, when people look back on it, so, like, if this movie came out later, it would have been so much more money. It would have made so much more money.
You imagine this in, like, 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit. But they were... The point being here, even when they were bad, by the way, like, in 2007, you know, you had... Look, in 2007, you couldn't really compete with Pixar and Disney. They had Ratatouille, and they had Meet the Robinsons. Meet the Robinsons, I still think, is a charming movie in many ways. But DreamWorks had B-Movie and Shrek the Third. They had 2 movies, just like Disney Pixar did. Now, those 2 movies were absolute ass, but they still competed with Disney Pixar. And that's just the truth of the matter, is, like, that's the competition that was at the table for Pixar at the time. You had Sony Pictures Animation, you had Blue Sky with Ice Age and Epic and Horton Hears a Who, right? But like that was the real competition was in the late 2000s. You've got awesome movies. You had 5 feature films with great budgets in 2010, and that's not even counting other studios. 2010 is a great year for just a lot of content coming out, and that's just because of the health of the industry, how much was given in terms of budget, and that's impressive. You know, the point being here, Mark, Pixar was the industry high tide, obviously. They were still undebatably the best of the best. Like, this is where Cars 2 comes in, right? They were still the industry high tide. From, like, from the beginning of Pixar all the way until now, at Toy Story 3, they're the high tide. And the CG animation landscape has changed because they came in and just brought it to the feature film landscape.
They saw the Oscar bias. So
and
like,
they have the Oscar
when
bias.
When the critics are like when the judges are
talking about, right, are you talking about present day or are you talking about 2010?
Just around that era mostly.
Oh, cool, okay.
Yeah, because like, it's like, because like when the Oscar judges are like, what do we give this animated best feature to? I don't know. Did Pixar have a movie this year? Yeah. Alright, give it to them, fuck it.
Yeah, because the movie after this, after Cars 2, is Brave, and they got the win.
So, it was... I forgot what else was competition.
We're not looking at that this time. We looked at it with when we did the Paranorman chat. But
like I remember, I forgot. It was like I think it was for year 2014. Like we were talking about Big Hero 6 1.
So we were off by a year. Big Hero 6 was some other movies. Because I was saying that, and then I was like, I looked back at it, and I was like, oh, Big Hero 6 did deserve to win that one because the year wasn't that great.
What else was that?
I don't have it pulled up. We can talk about it at a different point in time.
I know. We can cut this out, but like, yeah, there was.
It's fine. Let's just pause so that we can actually reach. All right. So, due to Mark's interest and also to a commenter that noted on the
we love you
cartoon
Thank
chat.
you.
So, Big Hero 2014, Big Hero 6 won. The other nominees were actually The Box Trolls, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Song of the Sea, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya. I think the closest one to that is How to Train Your Dragon 2. I do think Big Hero 6 deserved to win that year. Not really a fantastic year. I don't like The Box Trolls all that much. I think
it's one of the weaker movies.
Yeah, like
it's decent. But it's definitely weak compared to their other shit.
Because I was thinking of 25th.
My main issue, like when we were the last we were talking about, is just the fucking Lego movie was not nominated.
Well, that's because it was actually set in reality, but we didn't know that.
Fuck no! Yeah. That was one reality moment. So
all right, Mark,
best picture.
We still haven't. Let's keep it moving. We haven't talked about the.
No, it's bullshit.
Yeah,
that's a fucking cartoon.
Sure, I agree, but I agree that is aggravating.
Okay, SpongeBob movie. It's SpongeBob movie live. It's SpongeBob movie animated. Is the first SpongeBob movie animated?
I think it spends too much time in a live action setting to. The problem is it all breaks apart.
Are you serious?
So here's the thing, Mark. It all breaks apart when The Lion King got nominated, like the live action one. That's where I think it all falls apart.
It's not live action though.
But it's not live action, but it's trying to be, and it's very.
No, Disney is telling people it is, but it's not. Everyone knows everything is animated. It's not the dinosaur.
I promise you. You ask 25% of America if those were real animals, and I bet you they'd say yes.
Because they're fucking stupid.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, look, all I'm saying is...
I'm sorry, you're saying the Lego movie is not fully... It's
not
a Who Framed Roger Rabbit situation.
I'm not saying... No, I agree with you on the Lego movie. I think that the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, I think, is an animated movie that spends a little bit of time in a live-action setting. But it spends, I think it should have been counted. Is it counted? It's not Best Animated Feature stuff. It's not.
I don't even got nominated.
It didn't. No. But, like...
That was a tough year anyway, though.
Yeah. So, strong year.
2004, yeah.
Yeah, no contest.
Fucking Incredibles. Never mind, yeah, that was...
Yeah, no contest. But, yeah. What are we gonna do? I'm gonna move on, Mark, because, yeah... Like,
we have to.
Mark, if we'll do an episode, we'll do a Toon Talk just about every single year, and we'll have a few people here, and we'll vote on
Let's do a Toon Talk about everything that's not Cars.
Let's move on.
No!
Talking about Cars.
No!
Alright, so we gotta get into the development of Cars 2, but before we talk about Cars 2, let's talk about simultaneous
that fucking picture
development.
on the top left.
Yes, accept it. Alright, so here's the thing, right?
Do you kiss that at night?
Can I please just get going?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Alright, so the point is, right, so let's just break this down. You've made a quaint but soulful story about a hotshot race car finding himself in a nearly abandoned small town on one of America's historic but now bypassed roads. People liked it, it made a ton of money, and the world is your oyster. What are you going to do in Cars 2? First thing they do is they start investing in making these shorts. They realize the success, and so simultaneously between Cars 1 and 2, you get Mater's Tall Tales. Now, these were a series of shorts that would air on Disney Channel, on Toon Disney, which would pretty soon be Disney XD, and ABC's Family.
Which has, like, surprisingly quality with the movie, like same high-budget animation, and, like, the returning voice actors.
Yes.
Like, these are shorts, but like still kind of made to air on TV as well. It's just like kind of crazy that they still put the budget and effort into these still.
Absolutely. So the next thing that was significantly happening was that Tokyo Mater was brought out in front of Disney Animation's Bolt, like the theatrical movie. So that was the short. It's kind of like how Coco had Frozen,
or recently now.
But just before, it's like the reverse of the Coco thing, where it's like, we don't know if it'll be trusted, so let's put Frozen in front of fucking Coco. It's like here, we don't know if Bolt's gonna do well, so let's work with one of our more profitable things here, and put it in front of Bolt. That's Tokyo Mater.
The problem with fucking Olaf's Frozen fucking adventure was 20 minutes. 22 minutes fucking long.
That itself is so long it could be a cartoon chat.
Because they had to take it off after a while because people were confused. Like I think I walked into the wrong theater. There's a fucking Frozen movie playing. I wanted to see fucking Coco.
Yeah.
It was awful. A better example is the most recent movie, fucking Migration. It's like, go see this movie because there's a Minions short. Like the Minions, right? Minions!
Well, that's the other thing is you damn well know no one really cared about Migration. I'm sorry, guys. Whoever's on the team at Migration, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. But everyone knew that Illumination is known for one thing, and that's Minions and marginal budget movies. All right, they knocked the sauce off of making money. In fact, Migration actually made money, so I can't even say that.
It just looks okay. I never thought it looked awful.
It was a standard journey. It was a standard generic journey movie. With a family, family road trip, but birds. All right, so. Let me just break down.
Can't wait for the sequel.
Let me break down really quickly Tokyo Mater, right? So the point of Tokyo Mater is that he tells Lightning, hey man, because here's what happens. It starts in Radiator Springs. The tuners, which they call imports, sort of zoom through Radiator Springs, and Mater's like, you know what, I was a fucking import at one point. And he starts the story by towing a broken down car from Radiator Springs into Tokyo. And then he gets challenged immediately by another street racer to just start drifting and racing. And so, he gets modified into a driftable tow truck, and the race is from there to the top of Tokyo Tower, which for some reason exists. We'll talk about that when we get to real world settings. We'll talk about this, but it's like I have an issue with, because this whole short is literally quite literally, obviously a tech demo it's a tech demo prologue for Cars 2, because Tokyo is the first setting we get in Cars 2, so clearly they were just flexing their muscle.
I saw a clip of the short recently because someone like clipped it with a caption, Yakuza summons be like. And it's like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the journey, the quick little journey there. So the point is, like, they race, he says, and lightning comes in, and he is there. Mater wins, the dream ends, and the key of that thing is, like the real key here is, just want to make sure everything good?
Yep.
Okay. The key thing here is, like, this is the kind of, as much as it's part of the Mater Tall Tales, it's also a precursor to just the randomness we would get in Cars 2, right? Like, look, it's a fun short. It features characters from the incredible popular film. It, uses the popularity of street racing and tuner culture and Tokyo Drift to its advantage. And yeah, like, it's fine. But I would say if I were reviewing this, this is a brief little review for me, like, I do think that a journey into the Cars realm with as much respect and research as they gave NASCAR into sort of the street racing expressway or drifting styles of Japan, I would prefer. Like, I'd prefer if they gave it that much respect. Instead, it's the background to Mater's jokes, and that's what happens even in Cars 2, is like you get these settings and they're not delved into, like in Cars you have the tone of the racetrack and like NASCAR and the everything sort of, it's still fantasy, but it's grounded in some sort of degree of here's the respectfulness of the racing. But no, that all kind of falls away, and that's fine. But it is what it is. Yeah, but Tokyo Mater, it's there. Pixar Canada, right? Pixar Canada was a new studio built in Vancouver due to like just tax benefits. It literally existed for only 3 years. At its height, it had 100 employees. It opened in 2010, and it took over work for Mater's Tall Tales. Later,
is that all they made?
Later, they do Tales from Radiator Springs. They also did Toy Story stuff, but the point, like spin-off stuff. But the point is that they were really just there to do like the stuff that, like, let's say main Pixar studio is doing movies. You're gonna do the spin-off stuff unless we're gonna give that to Disney Toon, right?
Why don't they have them do like in between stuff? Like, hey, can you do this? We're kind of busy with the workload. Can you just do this like 2 scenes of this movie?
I mean, that easily is also something that could have happened there, notably for Cars 2, I'm sure. Planes, right? So here's the thing. Disney Toon Studios was clearly already in production of planes by the time the Cars 2 was out. That's why it gets acknowledged right now, even though it comes out later. Because we know this because the voice of the main character was announced in August of 2011. So this was clearly already quite a bit in development by the time, like, between Cars 1 and 2. You already have that point, and we're not going to talk about the fucking Planes franchise.
I know. My reaction to like,
this is just the sign of like, okay, what are we going to give Disney Toon? Well, let's see if we can have them do capped budget, spin-off material, make it theatrical. Boom. Go ahead.
I'm not going to talk much about this movie. I haven't seen them, but like, I remember my reaction to like seeing these exist. It was like, this has gotten out of hand. What's next? We're going to do the boats movie? Are we going to do like the blimp movie?
And I was like, I agree with you. I was like pretty tired of, because if Cars 2 was good, I think Cars 2 really kind of changes the momentum of the franchise, and we'll talk about that obviously. But I think that if Cars 2 were actually good, people would not be as bored of the idea of planes. I think Cars 2 really changes that momentum, and planes kind of becomes that oversaturation point.
It wasn't that like I was bored of the Cars franchise. It was just like anthropomorphic planes. It was like, we're kind of just reaching here.
I mean, I agree with you. It's kind of weird because you get in Tokyo Mater, you see like the boats. I think that's the first time you see boats.
Yep.
And it's like, what boats? Okay, all right, cool. I didn't know boats were part of this, but sure, all right. So it just kind of expands things so far out.
It's like that joke they made at the end of Cars of like all those movies, those Pixar movies, but like instead of like characters, anthropomorphic like objects and animals, it's just cars.
They like took it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing here, the key last thing here, like sort of in terms of franchise development, is Cars Land. This was announced in October of 2007. That's about 2 years and change.
We talked about this last podcast.
I know, but It's in between 1 and 2. That's why I'm doing it. This was part of a 5-year, $1 billion renovation of Disney's California Adventure over in Disneyland. The point is that attendees would be able to walk into the Radiator Springs setting. They would be able to enjoy new and reworked rides that were themed in the tone of Cars, and the completion time was to be in 2012. So the point was that they were riding on the success of Cars, and they were trying to have this out in a nearby point of Cars 2, so just kind of keep people coming in. There were a lot of video games released. We talked about that in Cars. And again, the grand point here is that there was a lot of development. Like, if you talk about the amount of staff and how much money this got, like, imagine how many people got paid just because of Cars Association. Like, okay, let's say you worked in the Radiator Springs setting at California Adventure, Cars Land. Let's say you worked as an attendant at fucking Pixar Canada. Let's say you were an animator and you worked at Disney Toon. Like the impact Cars had as a franchise is so significant. And at this time, it is a massive deal. Just because of how far the tendrils were going just on this franchise alone.
How long did Cars Land get finished by the time like Cars 2 happened?
No. You asked earlier, like, alright, was this lined up with the release of Cars 2? Well, the original release date of Cars 2 was 2012. It was moved up to 2011. A few people had found through Pixar's, like, they founded some back ways that, there's a couple things here and there. They had found that Disney had registered sort of a lot of, like, they had registered names that gave up they're working on some sort of World Grand Prix within the movie, right? Just a sense of, the World Grand Prix is involved somewhere here. You had the directors already tied in, John Lasseter and Brad Lewis. There was the construction of ideas. This is where things kind of start to fall apart. This is where, you have What Would Jesus Do? What would Mater do in this situation? That's what John Lasseter...
What would car Jesus do? What kind of car is Jesus?
That's what...
It makes you think.
A Toyota Corolla, probably. Just something that'll get the job done. It always is reliable. There. Probably a Toyota Corolla.
A car that
but
fucking
it's not for everyone.
sins.
What's up?
A car that fucking crashed for your sins.
There you go, Toyota Corolla or a Subaru. Maybe that's it, because the Subaru's always survival. Or you'll survive in a Subaru. Subaru man.
They probably had a Christmas special. That confirms Jesus was birthed there.
Oh my god.
If there's a Christmas special, if any fucking cartoon had a Christmas special, that confirms Jesus
exists in that universe.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
That's why I'm sorry. I just want to say that's why my theory is the true message of the Grinch's. The Grinch is an atheist, and he gets converted to Christianity.
There you go. Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this construction of ideas was started by Lasseter while he was promoting Cars 1. So again, what would Mater do? He says, I imagine him driving around on the wrong side of the road in the UK, or the Autobahn in Germany, or deal with the many motor scooters in Italy, trying to figure out the road signs in Japan. His idea for Cars 2 is, haha, what would Mater do here? Haha, what would Mater do here? It's Jesus fuck. So, it's just hearing that, that doesn't sound great. I don't like that one bit.
Gee, Mater, it's nice to be back. It's sure nice to be back at Radiator Springs. I want you. What?
No, get off. No, screw you.
I love that meme.
So, the other thing that we know is that he says that he was influenced by the Bourne trilogy, Jason Bourne, the James Bond series, the Man from U.N.C.L.E. series, to this point, conceptually, before the movie comes out, by that point, if you've listened to everything that we know about this movie, it's, alright, you have inspiration from spy films, you have wacky antics from a confused Mater, and a World Grand Prix. And of course, it's alright, they're definitely not going to put all of these together. I mean, how would you be able to do this in a cohesive sub-2-hour movie? I mean, obviously Pixar, they're so good in storytelling, they wouldn't just try and shove all this together like a goddamn piss poor sandwich that they would just shove in people's mouths. There's no way they would do this. So by November of 2010, we get the synopsis, we get a poster, we get the release date, right? Well, we already have the release date, but it's all physically there for people to see. And that's where we get Cars fucking 2.
But here's the thing, they already did a spy thriller.
Wait, this is made by John Lasseter, so that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if Brad Bird did anything.
They get to like fucking.
It doesn't matter.
Steal script.
John Lasseter did it, so he's original. What would Mater do, Mark? What would Mater do?
I don't know. Maybe he was off his game. He just didn't have enough asses to slap, and people.
Cars 2.
Like, I need a smacking ass. Where's all the women? They're on PTO, sir. What the fuck?
I'll just deal with the men.
Dress like a girl and get a fat ass.
Oh my God.
I need something.
Get a BBL in 2 hours or you're fired, Johnson. Alright, so let's get through this run. Let's get through the feature focus. Release date, obviously June 24th, 2011. Runtime of 1 hour and 46 minutes. This is Pixar's second shortest sequel gap, by the way. Like we're going to talk about, or by the time this comes out, we will have long since done the Inside Out 2 review. But when you talk about other sequels there, obviously Toy Story wins it, just because of the fact that you had 95 to 99. That's a 4-year gap. This one was a 5-year gap. So again, usually with Pixar sequels, you're getting, lately you've seen, Incredibles to Incredibles 2, very long period. Finding Nemo to Finding Dory, very long period. But this was pretty quick. They knew the money that was potentially there, and they jumped on it. The budget, again, this is another $200 million movie, so we talked about the budget growing. This is the $200 million movie. This is the second in a row for Pixar after Toy Story 3. Here's the earnings chart, though. This is the thing. It made $100 million more than Cars 1, right? $560 million. Made $100 million more, but the physical media sales, which were tumbling generally, like, overall, it made half the physical media sales of Cars 1, so people just weren't saying, oh, I really want to pick this up, like, at all. I don't really want, like, you saw it in theaters, you didn't really think, you know what, I need to keep this, kind of like Cars 1. Cars 1's success was, people kept hearing about it, they kept buying the physical media, they were interested in having that in their homes.
And, like, Pixar physical media was a gem around the time, but just, like, again, like I said in the Cars 1 cartoon chat, it's like the DVD, the Cars 1 DVD was like surprisingly disappointing for like compared to like how Pixar DVDs was before that.
Yes.
And with this lackluster movie, there's no way this movie's gonna come out with bonus features. If this like came out with like 2 discs and like audio commentaries,
it did actually. It had a 5-disc special with I believe Cars 1 and a few of Mater's Tall Tales, and there was a 5-disc version of this, apparently.
Like a bunch of like real ass fucking.
It wasn't like special, no, but it had 5 things, which was like Mater and
just like more shorts,
special stuff, and it was, so you
sound like that
you lie, sir.
No, fuck you, no. That ain't no fucking real 2 discs.
But the point being here is Cars 1 made $775 million in its total gross. Cars 2 made $707, so obviously not as good a movie, didn't make as much in the physical After Effects there, right? Like the physical media After Effects, people didn't want to get this movie, and overall media sales were declining. So, clear decline there. Let's talk about the crew behind this here. This was directed by John Lasseter and Brad Lewis. The story was by...
My brain like auto-corrected like Bird, right? Oh no, Lewis. The fuck is Lewis?
So the story was by Lasseter, Lewis, and Dan Fogelman. Screenplay was by Ben Queen. Now here's the thing. This was Ben Queen's first screenplay for an animated feature ever. He would later go on to write the story for Cars 3. The music was by Michael Giacchino. No, I didn't realize this about Michael Giacchino at all. Didn't realize this. I put music. I meant to put editor at the bottom there. But I didn't realize this about Michael Giacchino. He has scored statistically in the entirety, not up to this point, not up to 2011, by present, Giacchino has scored 1/3 of all Pixar films. He is more than he is the soul of the music of Pixar in many ways. Like, we're talking Lightyear, like, whether it's bad movie, like, mid-movies, like Lightyear, or grand movies, like Incredibles, or Coco, or Inside Out, Cars 2, Up, Ratatouille, and Incredibles 2.
Score for Soul?
No.
Oh.
But, I mean, like, that's impressive, though. Like, I didn't realize that when you talk about post-2010, or let's say post-2007, like, Ratatouille and forward, he's a significant presence in the musical language of Pixar. And I didn't give him his due up until now, and I think that's impressive.
And it's gonna give him, like, these movies their own identity in music, because now, the soundtrack sounds close to Toy Story, but the main, like, I guess, like, front, like,
I think Cars 1 felt like Toy Story, but that was because, what's his name? Randy Newman?
Newman, yeah.
Newman's, yeah, that's
what I'm looking for, but, like, the music you hear for, like, the advertising movie, it's more like crunchy music. I think of country music when I think of Cars.
I think of country music, but I think this didn't have country. This had more action. It felt like it felt the music was more Mission Impossible than.
I guess I'm saying about, like, the end credits song.
Yeah, the end credits song, yes, but I remember the promotional didn't have much country. It was more Mission Impossible. They did a lot of. Here's the mission.
I'm just thinking about the end credits song then.
Yeah.
So I don't remember much advertisements for this. I remember, like,
I remember.
Because well, spoiler, folks. I only just seen this movie just yesterday.
You've never seen it before?
No.
Oh, that's right. You, of course, because you needed to see 2. Why am I asking this as if we?
Why are we doing this?
Yes.
But, like, I was never. I like the Cars franchise enough to watch anything that's on, but, like, I remember seeing the promotions for this, and it's like, this looks like Mayor's Tall Tales, the movie, which is, I only like as shorts, and I do not care for it as a movie.
Congrats.
And it doesn't look that interesting. And then, like, reviews come out, and it's like, it's not very interesting. It's not even as interesting as the first Cars movie. And it's like, I wasn't that big on the first Cars movie anyway, so it's like, seeing how, like, the reviews for this coming out, and it's like, I'll not really watch it.
Since we're just touching on sort of our thoughts getting into Cars 2, I'll say...
Oh, well, that's not my thoughts. Getting in. Okay.
Like, just like, as a kid. You know, like, I would say, like... Because I literally blocked this out of my head, then I asked my mom, and she was like, yeah, we saw Cars 2 in theaters. I was like, what? Like, I forgot how excited as a kid... Like,
you cried during the movie, and you shit yourself and pissed yourself. You embarrassed the fuck out of me. It was the worst moment of my life. But yeah, you saw Cars 2 in theaters.
So, by 2011, so I was 14 by the time this movie came out. 2000, I was 14 by the time this movie came out. And I was not as super hyped, but I was like, it was still a movie. Cars 1 was still, obviously, a movie that I was very significantly a fan of. I had the DVD, I watched it a lot, I listened to the soundtrack, I played the video game, right? Like, boom. Like, Cars is a franchise I was into. But I had already seen franchises come and go in theatrical form that had ruined my life. I mean, notably, The Last Airbender can go fuck itself. So Cars 2 comes around, and it's like, all right. Like, I was curious because it's like the action it looked interesting if I recall correctly, but again, like it didn't seem like Lightning McQueen was the star, and it was very confusing, but I was still interested. And clearly, I would say as a kid, my memory is just that it was a fine movie. I wasn't or as a teenager at that point, 14. I was like, it was a fine movie, but my taste in movies had changed, obviously, because I was a teenager. So, I just actually had more of a presence into what I liked and disliked. And I just think as a franchise, this derailed a lot of it. The magic of the first movie was that you were going to utilize the fact that you had cars that, any person of any age would kind of recognize these cars and be like, ooh, this is very impressive. And what I'll say is they did a good job carrying that over to Cars 2.
Oh, yeah.
You had a lot of cars that were clearly referenced from the past and recently. You had, Jeff Gordon, which is a popular NASCAR racer, was a Corvette C6 in this. He was an actual racer. You had the enemy team that were all the lemon cars, and these were real lemon cars, like a Gremlin and Pacer, right? And so I think they did a really good job, but the problem here is just that we don't get enough time to really sink into it like we did with the first movie. The first movie, there's a lot of respect paid, get a lot more interesting time to sink into this idea of these characters. But because we're dealing with jumping into fucking 3 plot lines, we get no time to really dig into the fact that you really spent a good amount of time to design these characters, notably the race cars, and you just don't have them on screen much at all. You don't get, that's a real problem.
It's okay. So if you watch the first Cars movie, and you enjoyed it, and your idea for a sequel is something very similar to the first Cars movie, but just more on a higher scale. You want to see Lightning. You want to see Lightning McQueen. A movie about Lightning McQueen,
who's clearly the main character.
Who's clearly a main character, and you want to see him do more races on a higher scale. And from the poster, that's what it looks like it's presenting. Every poster of Cars 2, Lightning McQueen's face is on the front, not Mater. Where it should be Mater's face on it. It should be subtitled too.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be just Cars 2. It should be Cars 2, Mater's Mission. Or Mater something. Mater's Tall Tales, the movie.
It could have been called McQueen and Mater, because this isn't, like Hobbs and Shaw, but it's not even McQueen's movie.
And it should have that car. They want that Cars brand. So McQueen and Mater, a Cars movie, Cars story.
So I do want to just make sure that people know, look, the marketing did make this clear. This was Mater's movie. That's the problem, is the marketing kept showing, all the jokes about Mater.
Yeah.
Average intelligence.
Average intelligence.
You knew that this was you had the spy. You kept seeing the spy character, and you kept seeing McMissile, and you kept seeing Mater. And that's really it. Obviously, Holly Shiftwell as well. You saw those characters, and you didn't see much of racing at all. And so clearly, it's all right, a little weird, but cool. And so the marketing definitely did portray that McQueen was not the priority. The problem is the poster and everything else around the movie gave the impression that McQueen was still going to be the key role here.
Yeah. Well, my thoughts was I still didn't really care for it because I remember seeing those.
But you were still looking at it because you're a Pixar fan. You're still observing it from the outside.
But looking at it, oh, I imagine this movie has still some more McQueen action in it.
Boy, were we wrong. Yeah. All right, let's get into the actual feature focus here. We spent a good amount of time talking about Pixar's presence at the time. We've talked about the competition. We've talked about the acquisition by Disney. We've talked about everything happening between Cars 1 and 2. Let's talk about the actual feature discussion by starting off with the very beginning. The oil rig. Here we go.
What movie is this? I wanted to pop in a movie about fucking Radiator Springs and Mater and shit.
So we start, and by the way, I'm surprised how quickly the Cars 2 logo pops up. It's very quick.
Yeah.
I think, within 60 seconds or so? You would think they'd put that after, but they just shoved this thing in pretty quickly. And you get Cars 2 and all that stuff, and boom, you're invested. So the old thing is that we have a new character we start with, and he's investigating an oil rig. And again, it's weird to start out on a boat. It's you're just in a completely new area. You're in a new depth entirely. If you thought that this was going to be same old, no, you're not in the dry desert area of Radiator Springs. You're in the wet setting in the middle of an ocean. Apparently, the furthest away from land that you could ever be is what the boat says. And you're following McMissile, and he's getting on this oil rig.
Well, this is a very well-designed scene, especially how they had to think about, a lot of this movie is oh, when if this area was made for just cars? I think that's interesting design. The thing about it, it's not very original, and it's it's going into, what they were joking about, at the end of the first Cars movie, where it's hey, it's this movie, but what if it was just cars, instead of, these characters? And that's the joke. And, now they're doing it for real. Hey, what if Mission Impossible, but with cars? And, this is, a very unoriginal scene. This is, very tropey to, the way, these spy thrillers start out.
Yes.
And it's just, the only thing that's, interests me is just, how they design it for cars. How are they making cars?
I don't know if they just, it's just that an oil platform is kind of open, usually. Obviously there's some tight quarters in the area, but it's...
I'm not saying this is what makes the scene good, because it's just generic, but, it's just, the only thing that's not keeping me from, fucking turning this off is just, hey, it's interesting to see how they're going to recreate this generic action movie scene with cars.
It's what I wrote down in my notes was, this entire segment feels a lot of, wow, that's cool. Like, explosion. Like, there was the one moment that I thought was very nice looking was when he first sees the rigs in the distance and it's just the flames sticking out. It's like darkness and the flames are sticking out. I think that's a beautiful looking thing. It's like just ocean water and then you see the flames coming up. I was like, that's a very visually creative shot.
Like, again,
it looks good.
You can see the budget animation.
But it has nothing to do with cars. That part.
But yeah, it has nothing to do with the first movie.
Yeah. I will say the water effects look good. Like, great job. But you guys, you know, like... I mean, and I'd say the water effects have been fine since The Incredibles, though. I didn't have a complaint with the water effects in Incredibles. The hair was the only problem with The Incredibles.
Going into this, I was making curious. So, like, where does this relate to Radiator Springs? What does this have to do with Radiator Springs? So I'm curious, how do these two plot lines collide? I mean, spoiler alert, it really doesn't. But, like, I mean, it'd be interesting. It's like Radiator Springs has something to do with this or something. Maybe, like, damn, I'm fucking thinking. I just thought about a better movie in my head. Like, when if Radiator Springs was at stake? When if this movie was about Radiator Springs? Fuck.
I think it's too. I think Radiator Springs is too unimportant. And I have my own thought on what a better movie could be. But I think that if you're gonna do this again, I think the issue is you don't need real world settings either. You can make a setting up, and that could be the thing that's at stake, and so it doesn't need the gravity of like, oh, Paris. That's not Paris, but in cars. But again. We'll talk about that. The point being, Finn McMissile's looking for a camera or some object that has a device that's very dangerous, and so he goes and he sees it, and boom, he learns about what happens, and he gets caught, but he escapes, and he has all these backup things, and it's cool. Again, the whole thing when he turns into a boat or a submersible, it's like all of this is cool, right? Like that's cool. And that's it. It's just
dude, fucking Blue Sky was like looking at this scene and was like, dude, what if we did this movie but with birds? And the executive's like, that's a terrible idea. And then like, a bird. And they're like, do it! Print it, write it down.
I thought you were going to say, and that executive died, and they immediately just greenlit it. They fast-tracked it.
He greenlit it, then he died, and the next executive was like, yes.
Yeah, yes. Alright, so you said what's happening at Radiator Springs, well, we get that. In a lot of expo... So, okay. Let me go here. So I have 2 slides of Radiator Springs. What I wanted to mention is, I appreciate... And this is kind of where it maybe should have started, and then we fade into the McMissile story.
Alright, so...
Because, like, you get, there's a couple things that are kind of, like, just kind of, I think, bad... What I would say is the worst Pixar exposition ever. It's like, what's Lightning McQueen doing? I think he's chasing another piston cup. Is he? I thought he was here in Radiator Springs. It's been...
Why not both?
It's been pretty lonely without McQueen here. And, like, I thought that, again, there's so many... You could have just shown us this. You could have just done a McQueen, like, racing sequence. That's it. You didn't need to do anything. Just do one fucking McQueen racing sequence in him during the piston cup. And then you got to fucking Radiator Springs.
It's cool.
And then you show him coming back. You don't need to do all this, like, what's happening?
Man, it's cool. It's cool Doc Hudson we here. Too bad he's dead! He's fucking died!
That was just like, again, it's so sad to hear. It's so sad he's dead. It's like, guys... What is up with this writing? What is this?
Man, he didn't even die, like it was disturbing. It was like, man, he didn't even die at old age. He just was burned alive.
He just died. Like,
his exhaust pipe caught on fire and just burned alive. It was weird. And you had to just sit there and watch Mater?
You could have just, like, again, you could have just had him say he drove away for some other reason. Like, he's dead?
No, they should say he drove off a cliff. He just commits.
Or he tried to do the Willie's Butte thing, where he tried to do the drift and he did the wrong thing, and he had one too many cacti hit him, and he died. Yeah, but
he had an engine attack.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So, look, like you get all that, and then you also get like that McQueen wants to like, look, Mater and McQueen are friends. We know that. But McQueen wants to just have some quiet time, and it's like, yeah, like of course.
All right, so
and like again, like I gotta give props to like I love so much about this part of the movie where it's just like we're getting outside of the awful exposition. Like I love when they're at the wheel well because you get all of the Radiator Springs community together having like a fun little moment in the beginning of the sequence where Sally and McQueen are trying to talk and Mater's kind of butting in and Guido is fucking making Luigi, is making a fucking no, he's Guido. Guido's like over there like a bartender and everyone's sitting there and everyone's having a good time. Like, it was a beautiful moment. It felt like, it was like, ooh, this is kind of what they envisioned.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, there's also a lot of new people there enjoying the moment and everything looks
it's
good.
It's populated now. So, like, I like the scene because, going into it, I was like, okay, that's, like, when that spy segment, it was like, okay, I'm interested to see how that relates to Radiator Springs or, like, any of the characters. And then we get into this part, and I'm like, oh, so far, like, I love the vibe of seeing these characters again. I love the vibe of being in Radiator Springs. Like, I guess I might be in the minority of, like, seeing this movie, like, this movie might be like, I might actually really enjoy this the whole
4 minutes
way.
in.
Yeah. Because, like, as long as we're here, we're just like, this is fine. I'm comfortable with these characters. I'm just comfortable with this setting. Like, this is good. And we're, like, arcing back to, like, Mater and just, like, Lightning McQueen and Mater just, like, doing some goofy shit. Yeah. Like, great vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is, like, where we get, like, the first deleted scene.
A deleted scene, okay.
Yeah, because this is, like, a lot of them are just, like, useless, like, extra shit.
So, overall, deleted scenes just are not as critical as something like in Cars 1, where you saw a few of those scenes and they kind of would add a little bit of substance.
Yeah, it was more like, the deleted scenes in Car 1s were, like, a lot more, like, character development stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the deleted scenes for this was, like, Mater does more dumb shit.
Oh, Jesus. That's what we all want.
Actually, a really important one, which is like I wish they should have kept, is the opening we got with the spy shit. It wasn't supposed to be like that. The original opening was Mater. It's just it's a big old version of Mater. It's a bigger scale version of Mater's Tall Tales. Okay. Which
the movie is that, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah, but like it starts with an actual Tall Tale where Mater is like. It starts off with Mater, like, in this setting, and he's, like, Lightning McQueen is, like, he's in a race, right. And then he's racing, like, clowns, and they're, like, throwing pies on them and stuff, and there's, like, ninjas, and then Mater comes out of nowhere to save him, and it turns out he's just telling a story in the museum, and then Lightning McQueen is like, that didn't happen, it's like, no, he thinks Lightning McQueen's out of race, but, like, then Lightning McQueen comes in, like, that didn't happen, and it's like, he's like, wow, they have this animatronic for Lightning McQueen is very realistic. And it kind of just goes into the next scene, but like that's like a cool idea to like just kind of reference Mater's Tall Tales, so that's what this movie is. And it's like it'll be more interesting like to start off where it's like, oh, you think it's a normal Lightning McQueen race, but then it gets fucking weird, even for the logic of the Cars universe. And it's like, what's going on here? And then you realize it's just Mater telling the story.
That reminds me of the awesomeness of the opening of Toy Story 3, where you get this very fanciful situation that's grounded in a little bit of reality.
It should have been like
until it goes further and further into the fiction of fun and beauty of just having an imagination, and then you get the real world, like,
I was like, they just like gush about that fucking opening in Toy Story 3.
I would rather spend two cartoon chats talking about the introduction of Toy Story.
Oh my god, it's just, and it brings back like the fucking everything, like the whole playtime. Yeah. Like you see the real imagination of like the opening of Toy Story 1. Yeah. Fucking genius, man.
Yes.
I can watch that opening over and over again. That means that should have been its own movie over Lightyear. Like, why did they make Lightyear? Just make just make a whole movie about the imagination of that.
We don't need to know that Andy watched a movie to like Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear. We just need to see Andy enjoying the toys in an imaginary way.
I want to see more of that world. That's it. Because I want to see Buzz Lightyear. I want to see more of the world of like a freaking cowboy dealing with sci-fi shit.
I will say I would say I prefer that even more than the real world adventures where they like Cars 4. I mean, Toy Story 4 was fun. But it's real world setting, and it's like we have to deal with toys in the real. I would much rather have, let's just go balls to the wall imagination with these characters.
Because it's a weird concept, it's so cool. So you got this cowboy who like fighting this pig, and then like if shit gets real, he calls his Wi-Fi friend from fucking space.
Giant fucking
and he has a slinky dog on a fucking force field. Like, what the fuck is this universe? This like I would love the fuck out of like of a whole movie of this shit.
Yeah, like it's impressive that Toy Story 3 is so good. Fuck, so good. Back to Cars 2. So, all right, this is where things kind of get weird. Though, like, look, okay, we know, like, this is where we get the idea of the movie, or the tone of the movie. Mater continues to shove his way into the story for comedic relief, even though this is a pretty chill moment.
He's oddly clingy.
He's oddly clingy, and we keep getting that. We get told of the World Grand Prix or whatever it's called through a news interview. There's an F1 car called Francesco, and he challenges and boldly claims that McQueen wouldn't have a chance. And then, like, what's weird is they get a call from Baltimore, which exists.
I know! I was like, what the fuck? Baltimore, Maryland rarely gets, like, fucking mentioned in media in general.
Unless it's bad. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really happy that Baltimore got referenced in Cars 2 because I don't want why does it could have been a fictional car setting, but instead now we have to consider that there is a real
Baltimore, but not just Maryland, specifically Baltimore.
There is a Cars version of Baltimore. Why?
Where's the Cars riots?
Oh my god. So,
but like, dude, I was like, when like Baltimore, because I hardly see Baltimore, Maryland pop up in like fucking movies and TV shows. Because like I was a little bit excited when that popped. I was like, I live there. I live there.
No, you do for a moment get that, but it's like, are you okay? But and again, this is where we get into the real world. Like, all right, do we have to have real world setting? Because we'll talk about this a little bit later. But like, and we even see that like. And behind Francesco is real world fucking Rome for some reason. Like, do we need... Like, the magic of Radiator Springs is like, to me at least, is that it's based from reality, but then they build their own fictional ideas around it. It's not actually a real place. Like, Route 66 is real, but Carburetor County is not. And the city and the town within it, Radiator Springs, is not. So, like, Rome could be anything. It doesn't have to be Rome. It could have just been, like, Italy. It doesn't have to be Italy, but it's Italy. And everything else in the world, apparently, is a real thing. We now suddenly know, once Baltimore gets mentioned and Francesco is sitting in front of real versions of real things that happened in history, we now know that everything apparently is fucking like real, but to the cars, which is like I think a lazy thing to do, but it is what it is, you know.
Welcome to the world of Cars.
The world of Cars is just our world.
Like I always thought, like even from the first movie, it was like like they just have California. I was like, why not California? Like you could just
anything.
It's opportunity
because like there's no
kind of like there's like you need to have like more car puns for some of these like cities and shit.
Yeah. So. McQueen sort of sees that he hears all the commotion, so he goes in, and what's weird is like Sally clearly gets like attracted to fucking Francesco.
He makes my engines wet.
Which is like okay, I understand like this is still like the 2000s or 2020 like 11, and maybe I'm taking this a little light, but like what I like is McQueen clearly as a character has changed. He cares about Sally. He's not going around.
He cares about Radiator Springs more than racing.
Yes, but he's not like. Look at this one over here, look at that one over there. Like, he's clearly just like, I like Sally, I'm working with Sally, and I think Sally's important. Meanwhile, Sally's over here, look at that. And then, like, later at the end of the movie, you got Flo and Sally, man, isn't he hot? It's like, what Jesus.
That would suck his exhaust pipe, and
jeez. But, so McQueen takes the offer to jump into the World Grand Prix, and also pressured by Sally, who clearly doesn't want Mater around.
It's Mater who like just kind of makes up because he was just gonna not do the Grand Prix because he was like I'm just taking a break. I want to relax with my friends in Radiator Springs. But Mater is like Lightning will kick your fucking ass. He would fuck you up and then fuck your mother.
Oh my god.
He would beat you in the dust and you're like, oh really? And then he's not really making any good comebacks. He's making the situations worse. And like Lightning McQueen gets on the phone. It's like he actually makes good comebacks.
Yes.
And it's like fuck it, I'm gonna beat this guy. I'm gonna do the race. all right, and then like Sally's like, hey, can you
please?
Can you not leave Mater? And like she's like, you're gonna take Mater with you. You're not gonna leave him here, right?
Please, I've dealt with this guy.
He's a creep.
I've dealt with this guy for 20 years, and even though we obviously are a thing, he keeps talking to me like we're gonna be a thing, and I'm creeped out by him, and it's getting really disgusting. So could you just take this fucking...
He keeps talking to me about how his uncle is also his father. And
he keeps talking about what he does to Bessie out back, and it's really fucking gross. So could you please take him? So
please take this redneck with you.
So he goes with the whole team to Tokyo. And here's the thing, right? Like, all right, so if you're comparing this movie to the first movie, there's the All I Want Is You sequence it's the Life is a Highway sequence, but way less interesting, because Life is a Highway is like, it's very much relatable. It's a long highway drive, it's got a beautiful setting, so much is but, and I know that obviously planes are relatable, but it's kind of weird. It's like, alright, you guys are just in a plane, and that's it. And then you guys go to Japan, and like, obviously the Japan part is more interesting. They're doing all the Japanese stuff, right? They're watching sumo wrestling, and and you have everything going on. Like, you see all that happening, you know. Like, but I think it's significantly less interesting. I think that it's weird. I don't know why. I just don't. I think maybe the nostalgia that I have for Cars 1.
Like, here's the thing. It's like...
Did you feel that? Did you feel like it was less interesting than Life is a Highway?
I can tell you why it was less interesting, because I'm not, like, I wasn't sure where, like, the plot is going from here, because with Cars 1, where that montage starts from, you're coming off from, like, this kind of the...
Major race.
Plot adrenaline where, like, the race came in a three-way tie.
Oh, shit.
What's gonna happen after that?
Right.
And it's like, okay, so like there's something to look forward to after this like montage, so that's interesting. This one is Lightning McQueen's going into a race, and he's bringing Mid with him, and they're just kind of enjoying their time. There's no stakes or anything. There's like nothing to like be worried about. It's hey, two friends having enjoying the time in Japan. Cool. Not really relatable because I haven't been to Japan, so it's like, I mean, I've seen some of this stuff from the internet in Japan. Like, hey, there's like there's machines for there's like, you know, machines for what is it called? Snack machines. Snack machines.
All the other the technology.
There's snack machines for everything. You got pods, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's kind of relatable to Japan. From what I see,
and again, this goes back to the whole Tokyo Mater clearly being a prologue to this movie. Like, we built this setting up, we were in the process of building this, so we made it short, and that's all. Like, they just used
nothing exciting really happened. They're just being goofballs.
They're just being
Mater's just being a goofball,
and again, it's just a backdrop to them. There's nothing really interesting happening to Japan, or there's nothing really like they're not really digging into anything about Japan necessarily. It's just, yeah, we're here, and so you can really get the tendrils or the legacy of the fact that Lasseter was clearly just on this press tour thinking about cars and what Mater would do, and you can clearly just see that because they just zoom through a lot of Tokyo, and then or Japan, and it's like, alright.
Yeah, look at all these weird Japanese stuff. Isn't this game show weird? I think the Japanese really be like, this is some weird stuff, man.
Yeah.
Japanese, am I right? Like, it just brings me to my, like, one of my biggest questions of the movie. Is this movie supposed to be funny? Because, like, it's not like it's trying to... The movie doesn't really stop to make jokes, and it seems like a lot of like what you...
I think Wasabi was pretty funny at first, and then it just kind of...
I guess what would be jokes is like it's definitely like all this stuff that's like supposed to be a joke. It's like it is in character for them, but it's not really funny.
Yeah,
it's not really funny, and like I wasn't really cringing. Okay, I was
definitely fucking.
There was more. Yeah, there was a kind of more than a couple lines that were cringy.
Yeah,
but like it was just like, is there really any jokes for like adults or anything that's kind of like you kind of thought that was cleverly written? It was like it didn't seem like there was any jokes that were like that like there was nothing that like that was like really there wasn't really a well planned joke.
There's no wittiness.
It seems like these are like easy laughs for kids.
Yes, this is crude humor, and that's it. It's crude humor and it's simple.
Like, you got a lot
way.
of visual gags, just like Larry the Cable Guy doing like, just like mispronouncing words.
Yes.
It's just like, and the thing with this montage is like, yeah, Mater's being a goofball, but he's not really making you laugh. Like,
there's nothing funny about the montage at all because it's just them doing Japanese, like, enjoying Japan. That's all that montage is.
I know, parts of the montage is like, hey, look how weird Japanese is.
Yeah. Like, and again, compared to Life is a Highway, it's like, it's night and day, so.
I already experienced this myself through the internet. I know how weird Japan is. You're just redoing this in Cars form.
Alright, so we get to the RaceHub, and Mater's already, and this is where the cringe really starts, is the RaceHub. It's very simple. Let's just, have some common sense, let's stop being stupid, and let's just make our lives good. But Mater's gotta be Mater. So this is where the movie branches off, where we could have had, again, like, there's so many points in this movie where, and we'll talk about this during the race, but there's a completely different movie that could have been much more interesting between just watching McQueen race and the journey of the race and the spy story and not having Mater fuck it all up. Like, cause the writing here with Mater is what fucks it all up. Like, every moment that could be interesting, notably in this RaceHub setting, gets interrupted by Mater. You get the bathroom sequence where, well, obviously at first, he has the wasabi, it's not ice cream, but he's like, yeah, well...
It's free!
It's free. So, he goes, he takes the wasabi, boom, and then he's fucking losing his mind, right in front of fucking Lightning McQueen, boom. On stage with the guy that starts the whole Grand Prix itself. He's the guy that starts the whole Grand Prix.
There's no other water around? Like, he had to go over there?
And he went right to that. Well, because he's dumb, he goes straight to the fucking big water, and that's where he fucking cools off.
Like, the thing I got about Mater from the first movie is, like, he's a weirdo. He can be misguided. I never thought him as, like, being dumb, though. He just has, like, he can have an active imagination, such as the Mater's, as evidence of the
Well, he can be what we see from the first movie is he's overly friendly. But he also is, I think he's smart enough, he's smarter than this movie, by far, in the first movie, because he's there in Cars 1, remember, he's on the final race crew. He's there.
Yeah.
With Doc and the Radiator Springs team at the final race. If this Mater was there, he would have raced onto the fucking track with fucking Lightning. Hey man, hey Lightning, I'm here, I'm fucking here, Lightning, look at me.
Well, he's also like, he's surprisingly smart when, like, during that scene when he's, like, helping Lightning on the track.
Yeah. Like, again, like, this was like, hey, what would Mater do? And Mater apparently lost 10 IQ points between Cars 1 and Cars 2, because, again, I don't think they were, Lasseter clearly shows his lack of great storytelling and character development.
Like, he runs up on the stage, and then, like, he seemingly pisses himself.
That, like, and again, that's like, why is this in a car? Why was this evil? Like, I understand
Well, yeah, what's supposed to take this as?
Like, I understand that, like, they thought it was, I guess Lasseter thought it was brilliant to retie this back at the end, like, ooh, but, like, that didn't need to be the reason that Mater knew it was that engine, you know what I mean? That doesn't need to be the key reason. It could have just been any other point, but instead you had to have a piss your pants moment in a Pixar movie, and then he has to run off embarrassed. Like, it was just fucking cringy. And then, like, he ran off.
Trying to drive more question this universe, so, like, because, like, we find out by the end, like, that wasn't his piss.
Yeah.
But, like, wouldn't he, like, as a human, when your bladder just, like, emptied. So it's like, wouldn't you like, fucking leak shit? Like,
well, I mean, it is a car, though.
I know, it's just fucking...
But, like, with a car, like, sometimes, like, the leaks out. Like, I get it, but it's unnecessary. It's severely unnecessary. It just left you cringy. And maybe the point is, what would you get? You get a bunch of young kids giggling at this moment. But I think that it lowers the bar for the movie in general. Like, the quality of the writing here clearly sunk. And then he runs into the bathroom, and you get another joke about him getting his butthole, like, brutalized. Haha, that's funny. With the fucking...
bidet.
The bidet. And it's like, alright.
They have buttholes apparently.
Like, yeah, all right, whatever. Isn't that funny? Japan's crazy. Like, that's the, and that's the joke. But then we get the real fucking movie. Again, we get the fucking spy sequence. You get this really cool looking agent who was fucking dressing up, not the real car. Turns into a fucking Dodge, like, Challenger or whatever he was. And he's like, yeah, got the dock or whatever. I'm in here. I'm going to leave this here or whatever. Then, like, they chase him and it's going to be a fight scene. Then he interrupts. It's like, oh, that's great. And, Mater steps in. He's like, I would not use that fucking, gotta have.
Just by being clumsy, he beats up the guys by accident.
Yes. And,
Oh, no, he doesn't. There's no fight. He just, like...
He leaves, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're like, what, can you get out of here, sir? We're kind of in the middle of something, okay? And he just puts the device... And the agent just puts the device on Mater.
Yeah.
And, like, Mater just leaves.
Yeah, and that's where, obviously, we have... at that point, it's like now everything changes because now the spy group thinks the espionage group...
These are the most stupidest characters of the movie. Because they just think...
No, I get it. I think McMissile is just so... He thinks, look, you've got to be so smooth with it. Because, like, that's the thing is, throughout the time that he's with the spies, up at the beginning, he comes off as, like, he's arrogantly, like, dumb. He's like dumb American, basically. And what's the constant gag about Americans is that they're dumb. So it works, I think, in the beginning. As you continue to go down the loop, it's like, how far was McMissile gonna fucking go until he realized that, maybe I really work.
Even if you think this is a spy, you have to think to yourself, this guy is undertrained as fuck. I don't know if I want to keep working with him. I already got the document.
He's a dumb American though. So, like, but he got the job done.
All
he knows is he got the job done. He got the doc, and that's why he was trusted.
Fuck this one.
Yeah. So, anyway, we get to the Tokyo race, because that's what we were here for, And, here's the thing, right? Like, again, when the races happened in Cars 1, it's like gravity changed. It was important. Things were critical. In this movie, the race starts, and fuck racing, because that's not important here.
Damn it!
like, we get all of these different race vehicles.
That have no character, they just exist.
No, but, like, what's interesting is, the promotional stuff for this movie, we get profiles for all these characters. The development team clearly took time to research what type of cars we would work with, how we would have these characters operate, all of that. Who we would cast to fit this accurately. And it all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is you gave them 0.1% of the movie time. And holy shit, because this is way more dynamic than NASCAR. NASCAR, it's just stock cars. And most of the time, look, NASCAR is very complex. I know that. But they're racing in a circle circuit or an oval circuit. Alright? This is much more interesting. And the problem here throughout this movie is, because they keep cutting away, you don't see the important parts of the race. Alright, is this corner important? Is that corner important? We get a brief moment of it where it's like, alright, there's a dirt part. And then that's it. But you don't get much of a... you get that at the beginning of the race, and then, you get phased out of it, and you start to go into the espionage plot again. I think that sucks. I think that, if you're gonna do this, focus on the fact that, because, again, McQueen's the main character. And we just lose that. It sucks, man. I really think that sucks. Because, again,
The biggest thing is, I was kind of hoping for, more of, we're going on a bigger scale, so I kind of want more, race, I don't need these races to be full characters, but I need these races to be anything but no names. And there's another deleted scene where, they were originally planned for 5 races, so, I think there was a deleted scene for Germany or something like that, but, I know one of the extra race scenes that we don't have is, it's a very short scene, and, but, Light McQueen is, talking to this female racer who he's racing aside.
The purple car, I believe. Not purple, the green car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, you're kind of blocking my solar panels. And And Ryan McQueen is like, oh, sorry, he like backs up a bit, and like she just drives ahead. I'm like, you're so gullible. But it's like, oh, that's a little character in a moment. And it's like, that makes it more interesting. Is like, oh, some of these race cars actually have a voice and like a slight hint of a personality.
Yes, no, they all have. That's the thing that's annoying is they all do. If you look at the because I looked through all of them when I was looking at the cast and I was looking at the type of cars they choose and the type of voice act, all of it. They all have personality, but they weren't given that time. That's why, again, I think a better movie, or even, I don't know why Disney hasn't done this yet, but any of these characters, you should do just a Disney Plus series on, and just have them delve into the world of pick one. Because people just love cars in general. They just love the franchise. They just love,
You just let this fucking cat in here?
No, the cat let herself in. But that's the thing is there's enough here where there's not a super big backstory for all these characters, but you could at least, you could at the very least just, hey, 5-6 episode miniseries, and I bet you it actually would be pretty successful. I'm not gonna, because again, that young audience and even that mid-level audience kind of likes that stuff. So
I already made a miniseries, but you ain't getting.
But it's Mater. And all you get is the Mater comedy, but you don't get nothing more grounded. And I think that the Cars world obviously would be a little better if they spend. That's where you see a 3, but you don't see with, you don't see anywhere else.
Yeah.
All right. So the great thing about this race is also that Mater, because he's talking to his spy friends, actually fucks up McQueen, which
my girlfriend
does not help anything.
She's my girlfriend.
I know the running theme with this movie is going to be well, Mater can be Mater, and you just have to work with that. But not if it fucks up everything that you're trying to reach. The theme of the thing is Mater's gotta be Mater's gonna be Mater. You should let fucking people be themselves. It's yeah, but if it is destroying your chance of being you at your greatest, is that actually a positive? I don't think it's a positive that he fucked up McQueen's final corner.
Okay, yeah, so here, this is my, one of my biggest fucking complaints with this movie is, the turn McQueen has to just feel bad for Mater because, no, why do you instantly feel bad? He's just going home. You're gonna see him later.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, that part is crazy.
I wasn't sure.
Because we're
not there yet. Okay.
No, because we're just talking about the final corner. When it's close race, the Mater says go outside, and it's he's all right, well you're the one that's fucking saying it out to me on the radio, and he lets Francesco slide in. He does, and he wins.
Yeah, because when Ryan McQueen is on the verge of losing in the first movie, it's because he's his lack of skill and he has to learn something around that.
Yes.
Around that.
Well, it's more his arrogance than his lack of skill.
Yeah, that too. But with this movie, it's oh no, he has everything he needs to.
He could have won all of these movies.
Yeah,
races.
Yeah, and but Mater just fucked him up, and it just kind of makes you pissed.
Yes.
Because she just kind of rooting for Ryan McQueen because to win against this douchebag, you hate that because he's just an asshole, and you just want to see him lose.
Yep. And also Francesco has no real character growth. I wish that again, if you had a movie that's, we'll talk about this when we get to Italy, because I have a critical point on Italy. But here again, it's this is where again we get the more core point of the movie. The film is doing a juggling act and a pretty bad job of race, espionage, Mater comedy, and it's just kind of bungling it all because you don't get enough of Lightning McQueen's racing. You don't get enough of you get the espionage, but it's kind of just shoved in there, and then Mater just is even worse because his comedy is just in there too, but it's fucking up with McQueen, and it's just kind of sucks at the end of the day because you're just not getting anything that amazing. So obviously, that happens, and it's bro, get the fuck out of here! You're screwing things up. And Mater's all fucking sad, as he deserves to be, and it's so that this is. And
Ryan McQueen was "Get off! There's too many people talking. Get off the fucking line."
And apparently
he gave him specific instructions. Get off the line.
Yes, he says this 3 times. So yeah.
And it's not like I misunderstand. Man, just didn't listen.
Yeah, it's on Mater, man. And this is, by the way, so he goes to the airport. And of course he's being followed. This is where we get the trailer sequence. Obviously, the big old trailer sequence. This was all over the place. This was here, there, everywhere. This was the most bombastic thing ever. The thing about the airport sequence, it's Finn's McMissile is obviously he's man, you're impressive, and Because again, he just doesn't think that anyone would be able to do what he's done, Mater's done up to this level so far. But I think the whole thing with Mater being so dumb kind of shows here, and I think at this point, this is where I would, if I were McMissile, I'd be like, something's wrong here.
Going back to that previous scene, it's like I said before, it's weird how like later Mater was confident at his position on Team McQueen. Like he was actually good at pointing out like where for him to turn and everything.
Yeah,
he was good at that job. And then like suddenly his a girlfriend, what he thinks is girlfriend, is like, you need to get out of there, and like he just. There's no urgency for him. It's just like, oh, we're gonna go on our date? Alright, I'm just gonna leave my fucking friend's race.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know.
Like, even though I'm supposed to be doing a job here.
Yep. Crazy.
If he was like watching in like the in the seats or something like that, that would make sense.
That's a completely different story. But he is a critical.
He's doing a job.
Yes, he's doing a job. By the way, we haven't talked about it, but I'd say Fillmore's voice change is as significant as Fear's voice change in Inside Out 2. Obviously, Dan Carlin had died by this point, so you needed a new voice actor, but I think that this is as noticeable as Fear's voice actor change. Bill Hader to the new guy in Inside Out 2.
I guess it's still fitting enough.
It still fits, but it's noticeable. At least to me, it was noticeable.
Same thing with Fear. I was like, we're gonna talk about Inside Out 2 when we get a chance. Like,
yes, we have watched Inside Out 2, of course. Watch the review. You've seen it. It's here.
But yeah, Fear's voice didn't bother me that much. Same thing with Anger's.
Yeah. Wait, Anger has the same voice. What are you talking about?
Does he? I think there was somebody's voice changed.
Disgust
there.
Yes.
Was not by Mindy Kaling, who like she's now a villain to me because of Velma.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, it's not positive. That's what I'll say. All right, so the thing about the airport chase sequence is like there's a point where you're so dumb that like you fuck everything else up. It's really unfortunate that like if this were a regular spy movie, it's kind of cool when an airplane gets damaged and it's like, oh, you still have to like save the day and get things done. When you see that the aircraft is sentient and his tire gets damaged because Mater's so fucking stupid, it actually feels like, ooh, does that hurt for the plane? Like, this is a living thing. Like, did he hurt someone else entirely because he's being stupid and his idiocy like just fucked everything up? Because it's a completely different energy than a spy movie where a plane is like just an object, you know? Like here, a plane is a living thing. You know, it's like if you got your friend shot. Like, dude, you got the guy shot because you were stupid. You just didn't jump on the plane yet. You just kept fucking moving slow, talking to the fucking spy girl like an asshole. Like, just get on the fucking plane. Like, you know.
It'd be more interesting if like Mater, because like he's oblivious to like what's actually going on.
Yeah.
It'd probably be more interesting if like Mater was like surprisingly smart for this, and he was like, "No, I don't want to be here. You guys are crazy. What's going on?" And he like keeps trying to get out of it, but they keep bringing him back in, and they're like keep trying to tell McQueen like what's happening, and like they don't really believe him, and he's just in it because they keep dragging him in here. But, like he's just like not only he's oblivious, he's just okay with doing their shit. He was like, okay, yeah, sure.
It's also weird that planes are designed identically to the human ones. Like, there's no like, hey, is this going to be bigger for cars to load in? Is this like everything? Like the design, like if you look at this picture here, you see that planes have the same sort of porthole as.
That was always a weird design with the Cars universe in general. There's like, weird. You know, in the first movie, there was like a lot of things that were oddly designed for humans. And like, how the fuck does a car work that shit?
Yeah, it's just again, if you have the time and the budget, why didn't you?
Why do gas pumps have fucking handles? They can't handle anything.
Yeah, who knows? So, over at Team McQueen, they see the note, and apparently they're all sad. You know, if I were on Team McQueen, I'd be like, you know what? I think Mater being on this team was a bad decision. It fucked us all up. You were in first, and then he didn't do his job.
He's going home.
So he fucked up, all right? Look, guys.
He's just going home.
Like, I'm not sad about this because, you know why? Because we need to win, and he fucked up. And, like, I feel like Luigi and Guido would be the most, for McQueen, for Mater leaving, because they'd be like, we almost beat a Ferrari. Like, he'd be like fucking up there. He'd be like, we almost beat a Ferrari and fucking Mater's fucking stupid. Like, I really feel like they would not be fucking sad like this. They would actually have been like, what the fuck?
And so like imagine if like you're doing your panel at your convention and while in the middle of you doing your panel I like run in front of the room to where you're doing a panel like, oh my god, flaming hot Cheetos is so fucking spicy, and I just drink a bottle of water like, oh god, that was super fucking spicy. But hey, how you doing? How you doing, Bryan? It's good to be here. And then like you just look on the floor like, Mark, did you just piss yourself? And it's like, oh shit, I don't usually piss myself. That's embarrassing.
Let me clean that. And then I look up at the look up at the clock, and guess what? The time's up.
Yeah, and then like you there's like they're having like a little Gran Turismo tournament in the arcade room, and like the winner gets $100,000, and the other opponents are a bunch of scrubs, and then like you're about to win, but then like I just like fucking run across your fucking controller and unplug it, and then like it like you just fucking lose. Like not only do you lose, you come in last place, and like I fucked you. You like chew me out and I fuck you up, and then because I fucked you up in the race, and then like I just get sad and I go home, and then like you're like, man,
I can't believe Mark left. It's like no, like he's like a fucking clown.
I shouldn't have fucked. Mark was just being him. I shouldn't have yelled at him.
It's like what the fuck? Like the concept of the story is so fucking weird. What the fuck? Yeah, like,
he's just. It's not like he's you only see him like once every 10 years. So he's going home. That's it. You're gonna go back.
So we see this very similarly in Finding Dory, if you remember. It's like everything is supposed to be like, poor Dory. It's like, no, it's her fault. Shut the fuck. What? Why are we doing? What? It's her fault. Fuck you. She did it. Can we give her responsibility? This is on her. All right. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Like, God. So stupid. So, anyway, so on the aircraft, right? So, after decoding the message, Mater assists in. What's up?
Go back. Never mind.
After decoding the message, Mater. So here's the one thing that he's actually like helping. Because again, like apparently, I guess cars aren't supposed to know what other cars have, even though mechanically you'd think that spies would. You would think that spies would know like what engines are what or whatever. It seems like that'd be in their arsenal, but apparently not. Mater's the only one that knows, what certain components are. And now he's a tow guy, so it's a mechanic, so I guess it makes sense. But still, it kind of was shocking. But that's where he finds his reason for being on this team. So because of this, McMiss was like, wow, I have never seen a car that knows this knowledge, so you're going to help me in Paris. And again, Paris. Why are there real structures from real Paris, and why are there just real cities? Why could again, like, why, like, what the fuck why is the Eiffel Tower here, dude? What the fuck are we doing? That doesn't make any sense. What? Why? What the just like, I like Paris. I mean, it's cool. The Olympics were there. But, like, it's like, I just remember looking at this like what the fuck? Like, we're just gonna go to Paris. And
Car Ratatouille lives here.
And because they have the restaurant there.
They do?
They reference it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So you get a car.
I didn't catch that.
So do you think that Ratatouille is still a rat in this universe, or is he a car?
Car rat.
They can't be, because remember, in Ratatouille, it's humans that are the main, and then the rats are the secondary. So is it that no, it would be, you're right, it would be a car, because just like ladybugs are still cars, it would be a car rat. So fuck it. Yeah, stupid. So, okay.
And he drives on top of another car.
So again, Paris could have been an interesting single setting for a movie. But instead, it's another situation of let's just drop in and do a couple things. Because there's no race here. It's just that it's for the spy shit. So, we go to a shopping area. And so we get a joke about the car with headlights. Because we talked about that in Cars 1. They said no cars with headlights, so they make a joke about that. Boom, get the fuck out of here.
I guess that's a reference to, like, cartoons that had cartoons commercials that had like cars, eyes for headlights.
Yes.
And it's like, but it kind of raises further questions to this universe.
Yeah, it's like, is this a special needs car? Is
because is
that a deformed car? Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, because it's like a mutant. So like, because like if you were to get the human equivalent, it's like somebody having their eyes and their nose, and I was just looking at you like this, like hello, and they're like, this is just empty space.
It's
That's
and
our
also,
nose.
there's
Just
that,
our nose.
that red car has no insides. Like, obviously, the soul of like everything else about other cars have to be inside like the actual cab and all that stuff.
I mean, it's weird because they go inside planes, sentient boats.
Fuck. Yeah.
Sentient blimps.
Yeah. I don't even know why I keep asking questions about this.
I don't know why there's not sentient buildings and shit.
So the point being is, Mater again compromises another mission by just walking into the fucking situation, and he almost gets one of McMissile's informants killed. So McMissile saves the day again, and we learn that all of the antagonist vehicles are lemons because Mater. No one else apparently knows that these cars. No one else knows that like all the cars in the enemy side are like bad, or like just poor mechanical cars. Like only Mater does, and no other fucking informants.
It's a world of cars in modern day.
It's at the time, yeah. It's supposed to be like modern
so
day.
They would have like internet and smartphones and shit. So like they should be able to look this shit up.
They should, but like apparently no one has connected those fucking dots. And you know, it's like, but this is why Mater's here. That we gave him a reason. So yeah, like you know, so they go back and they go back to their plane or whatever, and one of the vehicles, because they're going to go to Italy, right? So one of the vehicles is working with the lemons, and that one vehicle is identical to Mater's tow truck design, which. Wow, how lucky that a Chevy is in the middle of fucking Italy as a tow truck, but, I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking too far ahead of this. But he gets disguised as that vehicle, and the thing is, right, like, he says his dents are important, but, like, what if this was critical to the mission? What I was thinking at first, because I forgot about this movie, was, what if the mask slips off because his dents are, like, so unconcave that, like, the whole, like, mask thing just can't sync up? Kind of like, remember in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol where like the when they're under the Russian base, they use that wallpaper thing, and it gives the impression that the hallway's clear, and then a couple things happen and it's trying to track. Remember that? It's trying to track, and then there's too many eyes looking at it. Remember that?
And
in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
And like there's too many eyes tracking it, so it's like starting to glitch. I thought that's what was going to happen in this movie with Mater having dents, is that he was going to fuck everything up. But they're like, oh, we can make it work. It's like, all right, so cool. That's not a worry then. It's just going to be his stupid. It's like his fucking unawareness to not do the thing that causes him to be revealed. So
I mean, there's no point in really calling it out, except for like the only importance it has was like the very ending scene where she's like, I got a dent too, just like Mater, my boyfriend.
That's it. Yeah. So we go to Italy, and again, this is the key point I have to. We go to Porto Corsa. This right here is where the movie should have focused. This is it. This is the movie right here. Guido and Luigi are from here. Our antagonist race car is from here. The track is that character's inception point for racing. It is colorful. It is beautiful. It has, like, Italy has a bunch of historical and iconic cars. This would have been a beautiful place to just, hey, you know what? We don't need to go on, like, a global thing. What if we just core focused on Luigi and Guido and Lightning's racing, and you've got one guy that's a hotshot new guy, and he's from the same place that Guido and Luigi are from. Like, there's so much heart here for just a little bit of time, and you'd only spend a bit of time here. But this is like... This feels like there's actual soul here that could have been delved into a little deeper. Just because it's so critical and important to a couple of our main characters, and again, to our antagonist race car. I wish that this right here, it feels like this would have been a better spot specifically to just go, alright, we're doing a couple races here, and there's a plot line, and something happens, and whatever goes on. I don't have a story in my head, but like, it's such a cool idea to just delve into this setting because it has the most soul and the most importance outside of Radiator Springs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like it's homely because you get meet Luigi's family and like they're trying to help McQueen trying to figure out this stupid situation of him missing Mater.
Yeah.
And something like do we go to are we in the Italy race at this point?
Yeah, that happens as well. Before we start that, this is where we get, again, the core theme. Let your friend be himself, even if he compromises everything you wish to achieve.
You want to be racist? You be you, man. I should have just let you be racist. And misogynistic and homophobic.
This is such a terrible message.
I shouldn't tell you what you need to be.
If John Lasseter is touching females, just let him be him. You know, that's what the movie says. So, Cars 2 with the great messaging. So this race is great. This race is awesome. You know why it's great? Because 2 quarters in, we leave the race entirely. And we do not come back until the accidents happen. That is it for this race. This race, which has our secondary main character, like the other race car that is racing against Lightning McQueen, the biggest rival to McQueen right now. We leave this race in his home racetrack, and we don't see it again until the very end of it. That is insane, dude. What the fuck? That's insane. Like, what are we doing? It's 6 o'clock. That's nuts. But, dude, I can't believe it's insane. Like, who thought of this? Who the fuck thought of this? That's aggravating.
John Lasseter.
Dude, it's insane, man.
John Laxative.
You know, like, so that's what we get again. We get McQueen, we get Mater to play his role. You know? And at the same time, he has a little moment where it's like the espionage team, Big Missile tells him, yeah, you're great at playing a dumbass. And he's like, what, a fucking dumbass? Not a dumbass. And he gets sad for a second because he doesn't realize that he is a dumbass.
You're great at being a fucking idiot.
And,
because, like, wow, you really play that role stupid. So fucking stupid. Dude, if I was your friend, I'd be embarrassed to be around you. But, like, that's how good you play it. Because, like, I feel secondhand embarrassment just how good your acting is. God. If I was a racer, I'd be pissed at you.
So he goes in, you know, like, and here's the thing, right? Like, he's like, before he goes in, like, Holly goes up to the antagonist group, the Lemons, and it's weirdly like, it's not sexual, but like, because he's like over here like, I know you need a fucking everyone needs a fucking oil change, or whatever the fuck he says. It's like very like, what the fuck? This isn't Cars? What are we doing?
I mean, the Looney Tunes dates back, and it's just like a trick. It's like it's just like, hey, pretty boys. Okay, hey, lady, I see you're alone. You need a date. Just let's follow me to the back. And like that, it's an old cartoon trope. It's not really like
it's not. I know, but it just I guess I'm just used to. I'm in 2024, but it's just I don't know. It just came off as like like just a lot of So so.
Mater is like not in disguise apparently.
No, he's not even in fucking disguise yet. And then she's like, "What the fuck are you doing? I just jacked this guy off, and you're over here just sitting there doing nothing. Come on, get the fuck on the thing." So he goes in. Yeah, by the way, he acts. He doesn't act, of course, anything like the fucking guy. You know, he just goes in. He's disguised as the vehicle. And again, I didn't say this earlier, but nothing sounds more horrific than Mater with an arsenal of weapons. Nothing sounds more terrifying than that. A
redneck with guns? Are you like, why?
No, I don't mind about that. I'm talking about Mater specifically. Because he's in this movie reached a level of stupid that is beyond the average human. Yeah, man, like, so he learns basically, like, what's going on around him, and, yeah, like, the Lemons beat around a table, their leader speaks of the goals, it's like, yeah, we're gonna set this up so that the fuel is just bullshit, and everyone's gonna die because of it, and blah, 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 and you start seeing cars blow up and all that shit, and
we see the master, and his, like, he doesn't show his face, he just shows his exhaust pipe.
Yeah, he just shows his... Well, no, he shows his engine bay. What are you talking?
Engine bay, whatever. No, not exhaust.
Yeah, it's engine bay. That's what that'd be weird. That'd be weird as shit if you just saw his exhaust.
Is that like so? Is the human equivalent like if you just like I just have a video camera, a webcam pointing at my like fucking open shirt or like unzipped pants or something like?
No, that'd be like literally your chest.
Okay.
Like if you opened your chest and your heart and your lungs were just sitting there. That's what that is.
It's weird.
It is, but he's playing the idea that he is also a lemon because he's always broken down and his vision is to fucking get back at all those cars that are fine. And so all the lemons are cars that break down a lot. And so he's the head honcho, so he has to give the impression that he is also a broken down car. If they saw him for what he really was, he's not regularly, well, technically he is, but obviously who we actually see, he's not actually he's just playing on the lemons basically. But either way. So again, like
are we still on the scene?
I'm about to move off to the explosion, but
okay, yeah. Next scene we're just recording.
So remember there was a race going on? Yeah, there was a race going on. So the espionage team sees the camera. So we get a little spy moment from McMissile, but he gets captured. Boom, 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 bummer. That sucks. And McQueen wins the race. But we don't see anything about. He wins the race, and it's played as fucking terrible.
I'm sorry. We went past this scene a while ago. What did I miss? It's important. There's an on-screen death of another car because the other agent was captured, and he was tortured.
Oh fuck yeah! And he was like a box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was turned like a box or whatever. Yeah.
No. It was he captured the agent that had the document.
Increased the thing to set phasers to max.
This is like a kid's movie, and we just have an on-screen torture death. I was like, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's just cars, but still.
These are humans in this world, so yeah. It's weird that they're not. By the way, they're only setting it to every time a car breaks down, they're only setting it from minor to major. It's they keep going up one. They're only going up one level each time. I didn't it's. I think it. It's weird. Wouldn't they just set it to fucking max? And just. I don't know. It's. I get it. There's a master plan. All right. My bad. All right. I guess I don't understand. The point being though, is again, the point being is look, McQueen run a race. That should be a major awesome thing. But this movie uses that, and it's no, this is awful. Everything it's 9/11 happens in front of them instead of McQueen winning the race, and it's fuck. So by the end of it, McQueen says, "Look, I'm going to use all in all because the power of friendship." That's literally so it's Mater's fault that McQueen is using all in all because.
It's supposedly Fillmore's fault?
No, Fillmore says it, but McQueen says, because I doubted another friend, or I made another friend get hurt, I'll trust Fillmore. Because I feel like he wouldn't have gone all in, because he literally says, because I let another friend down, I'm gonna let this friend up. Or I'm gonna give this one a chance, and boom, he does that, basically.
So, what is the actual stakes here of the B plot? It's okay, so, all in all, so all in all can fail, and that doesn't mean anything for Radiator Springs. If all in all just fucking fails, it just fucking fails.
No, because McQueen's gonna blow up.
I know that, but it seems like the movie's trying to tell us to worry about all in all as well.
Yes, so the plot of all in all is basically how fossil fuels will sabotage other fuels in real world, and it's a play on the real world situation.
Which makes me wonder. It's I'm asking more questions that don't need to be asked, but it's cars inhabited this universe. So did they always need gas? Did they have some kind of fuel before this shit? Before fossil fuels were found.
That's a great question. What the fuck would cars be in 18...
Because, they're handicapped. Without gas, they're just handicapped. They just have to walk with their tires,
So weird. Yeah, what are they without tires? Yeah, what is this fucking landscape, dude? I don't know. I don't fucking know, man. Who knows? Jesus. So, I will say one of the funniest quotes, one of the craziest quotes is, McQueen, they're gonna kill you!
They're gonna fucking kill you, man. They're gonna fucking kill you.
That is an insane quote. By the end of it, the Lemons have captured the entire espionage team, and as they're on their way to London, Mater has a self-reflection. He sees every moment in the movie that he's fucked up, right? He's like, I fucked up. I fucked everything up. I did it. I fucked up. I fucked everything up. I can't believe that I fucked up. It's like, yeah, bud, you fucked up, all right? He wakes up, and he's like, oh, shit, where are we? And we're in Big Bentley, which, again, here we are, another place that has very minor detailing of difference. And it's like, what the fuck? Why even would this exist? What do cars need for time? What the fuck? There's no reason to even ask this question.
So going back to that epiphany, like, Mater was having when he was, like, seeing how stupid he was, is, like, a lot of that shit was outside of his perspective. Like, the guy's laughing behind him. I don't know if he's, like, imagining that, or, like, is he, like... Because this is, like... He's looking at, like, security camera footage, but mentally?
Yes. I think it's just supposed to portray that he's he's anxious about stuff. I don't think it was...
Because a lot of this shit was, like, outside of his perspective. He shouldn't know that, like, people were kind of making fun of him, or people were, like, how people's reactions outside of, like, the way he was viewing.
I agree, but devil's advocate, people would say, well, he was actually hearing all that, but he was being positive because of it. I don't know, like some devil's advocate bullshit. I don't believe that. I think that they just made this up for in the moment, obviously, but
it makes sense.
He just doesn't fucking make sense.
It makes sense as, like, he was, like, in a computer room and, like, a bunch of security cameras or recording showed up for, like, when he was in there, and he just, like, looking at him like, that's me? Actually, yeah, it would make a lot more sense.
Yep.
He's, like, looking at it he's actually looking at it from an outside perspective.
But instead we get a visual of that. It's more of a nightmare, which maybe is why he did that. Maybe that's why it makes sense, because it's like a nightmare where he visualizes this, so it doesn't have to make sense necessarily. But
I had a dream I was being an idiot. Thank goodness I wasn't having a real life. I learned absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So in London, again, they're in Big Bentley. And again, they're in this situation, and I know that apparently all of their weaponry is gone, but McMissile has something, man. Like, go fuck yourself. I know McMissile's getting them out of there, but instead, he doesn't. Apparently, they're just stuck there. Whatever. Mater gets out first, and they find out that Mater actually has the bomb strapped on him, and this leads to another fun, great situation. You know, McQueen races. You know, McQueen has, he's a race car in the middle of a race. Well, apparently that third race just doesn't matter anymore. Like, the movie just says, You know what, fuck the third race, who gives a fuck? Even though the whole point is that apparently Francesco and Lightning are tied, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, this third race just gets fucked. Like...
And nobody cares about the rules. Mater's in the middle of the freaking track.
Yeah, I mean...
No one is, like... Realistically... If someone is doing this, they should, like, kind of escort them out to be some kind of security stopping them.
So,
I'm sorry, I just want to go back real quick. There was, like, a really cringy joke back there where it was like, Mater was like a good neighbor, Mater is there, and that joke made me cringe.
I was like, okay, so we're doing...
State Farm jokes.
Yeah. I mean, cool, I guess, but whatever. Yeah. Again, like, so the spy team gets out. Again, McQueen's just dragged with him, and, like, because of course McQueen's, like, admitting, like, hey, you're actually good. You're not fucking, you're not bad, you're good. And it's like,
I'm not staying away I'm not letting you go, Mater. I love you.
God, this was so cringy. This was awful. This was so fucking stupid. This was so fucking stupid.
I feel like this is out of character from McQueen.
This is like this is not only out of character from McQueen, because he's like reaching too far. Like, where is McQueen's like actual respect for himself at a certain point? Like, you know what I mean? Like, at a certain point,
because realistically, McQueen would be like, Mater, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like McQueen, like, Mater, you gotta get out of here, man. I'm in the middle of this. Like, we'll talk after this. Like,
I'm glad you're here though, Mater, but like we need to catch up.
But instead, he's like he's sucking Mater's fucking
exhaust pipe.
His toe hitch. That's what he said, and it's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, there's a couple things going on. McMissile is chasing the professor. I do like. Fuck Martin's calling. Pause for me. 2, 1. Yeah, did you, Mark, did you want to add anything else there?
Oh no, I already said my piece, but it's just out of character from McQueen.
Just severely out of character.
Like sucking on his freaking
toe hitch or whatever.
Toe hitch.
Yeah, like, it's, and again, like, it cannot downplay that, like, we not only have not seen any racing, basically, for most of this movie, but then in the final race where things are tied up, it's like, why...
I want to, because, like...
I want to know how this
I know Francesco is not a villain, but, like, he's a character arrogant. I'm disliking. It's like, I want to see him lose.
Yes, he's arrogant, and he's, it's like, McQueen could prove... And McQueen, again, could have won all 3 of these, but in 2 of the 3 races, he literally gets either fucked... He gets fucked by Mater in 2 of the 3 races. So, and that's a major issue. McQueen, Mater... was it the race? So, okay, we get an actual good... What I will say is, in terms of direction, we actually get a good hood angle shot from McMissile's car when he's chasing the professor near the boats. Like, he jumps, and then you get for a brief moment, you get a spirited directing moment where the camera angle is on the side of McMissile's car as he's chasing the professor. And I was like, that's actually very good. And then it goes back to the same angles that they've been working with this movie. So there's a massive explosion that probably should have been a major impact. I know it's for comedic effect, but in any other Pixar movie, I think it would have played differently. They kind of play it for a wow, that's cool, when the boat blows up or whatever. But
it should have impacted the characters.
Yes. So, McQueen says, you gotta do you in this situation for, stopping the bomb. Because, the Radiator Springs team rescues McQueen and Mater, and the espionage team. And, by the way, Sarge apparently knows the British government, so then he also kind of has backup. But, again, here's another one. Another message. If people aren't taking you seriously, then they need to change, not you. Again. So, McQueen's like, hey, man, look. You gotta do things your way. And so, Mater's way is fucking insane. His idea is to just go with a bomb with 60 seconds left on the clock to the Queen of England and just hope...
It doesn't matter what he's doing, he's a terrorist.
And hope that David Axelrod is the guy. Because if he's not the guy, he just blew up the Queen and Buckingham Palace.
He's still technically a terrorist for the stunt.
Yes, that's what's crazy.
He still put everyone in the Queen in danger.
Yes.
So he still shouldn't be a hero. He'd still be put on trial for this shit.
And the whole crowd around him, what the fuck? That is insane. That's nuts. That's that. There cannot be a downplay of the fact that is nuclear levels of insane. And it is crazy, man. He says, hey, he goes through all of his investigating and he keeps talking instead of just doing, he keeps talking about, why he's doing it, but he doesn't just, because the time's running out. Obviously the movie wants to make this a big moment, but it's Mater, just stop saying it and get to the point. Just tell him that you're gonna, say it, you're gonna blow it up until he fucking does it. Just do it, because he's still gonna say deactivate.
I find it weird that everybody was saying deactivate, but when the Russian guy says it, it decreases the time.
Gotta make that ticking clock moment stressful. So I don't know. Again, just
so his voice is activated to make the bomb worse.
To make the bomb worse, I guess. So.
Oh yeah, what's bullshit is, he was trying to activate the bomb, but he
deactivated.
No, it went out of range.
Oh, that was so convenient, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Why even give him that button?
They could have thought something else.
They could have oh my God,
somebody came in, somebody just pushed them away from the button in time or something like that. But that was bullshit.
That was insane.
That was bullshit.
Holy shit!
Out of range. No, because you didn't establish things to be out of range early in the movie. No,
not at all. That was highly convenient. But the whole movie is. So
because they at least explained why Lightning McQueen didn't blow up every time. Even though the fucking beam was on him, it was he wasn't using that fuel. But how to range the fucking bomb now?
So again, it's Axelrod. Axelrod actually, he's also apparently a lemon. He believes, that they deserve to be the leader and all that stuff. Blah, 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 bullshit that no one cares about at this point. And so, essentially, Mater, he saved the day, and he gets knighted by the Queen. Fucking crazy, but he gets knighted by the Queen. Wow. And they return to Radiator Springs. They're back at the place that we all know and love, places that we probably should have spent more time at this point. I
can't believe I was saying this by the end of the movie, but I didn't want to be back in Radiator Springs. Because I was like, I'm interested in Lightning McQueen beating Francesco. But no, he's a fucking friend now? Kind of? And
that was very out of the blue. Because, he never got to successfully win that. And also, by the way, we get...
Francesco's a jerk still!
But remember, we get another race in Radiator Springs that we don't see.
But it's a race that doesn't matter. It's just
it doesn't matter, but...
It's a friendly race.
Yes.
I want to... It's fun to, hate on rival characters. That's why, it was satisfying when Lightning McQueen won against, I forgot the... freaking, the green car's name in the first one.
What? Oh, Kachiga. Whatever his name is. Chick Hicks.
That was satisfying when he beat his ass, or when he didn't beat his ass, but everybody fucking hated him.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of wanted that satisfaction in this movie, because I was like, Francesco's a fucking dick. But Lightning McQueen can beat his ass, and it's no, we don't get to see that.
No.
That doesn't matter, folks.
Nope. So Cars 2 ends identically to Cars 1, except Mater gets his wish instead of McQueen getting his wish.
He gets a girlfriend.
No, let me explain. So McQueen, out of the kindness and realization of friendship, does something for Mater. Remember that. He gets Mater a helicopter ride out of the kindness of the offer. What does Mater do but self-centeredly says, can I keep the fucking rockets?
You kind of thought it was going to be the other way around.
I thought so too. And I was like,
it felt like it was echoing the ending.
Yeah, it was. But instead, Mater gets to get whatever the fuck he wants. And that's it.
And he gets a girlfriend too, which is weird. Mater doesn't seem like he should be the type to have a girlfriend.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's that he gets this is the biggest Mater tale fucking filler episode, because that character doesn't exist after this.
Both of them shouldn't. I had a feeling they just shouldn't be mentioned.
Both of the spies just don't exist. And also he just yells to everyone, "Hey, this is my spy girlfriend, and also this guy's also a fucking spy."
Oh no! She announces I'm Mater's girlfriend.
Yes,
she's the one that announces that.
Okay, yes, but he also says that McMissili's "Hey, this guy's a fucking spy." I'm like, McMissile, could you just shoot him in the head? I'm just done. Fuck, man. Jesus. So, that's Cars 2, ladies and gentlemen. We just got through Cars 2.
Oh, yeah, also Mater is, because he has the jet engines, he's, super fast, and him and Lightning McQueen are both beating, fucking Francesco's ass, but we still don't get to see the end of the race.
Exactly. So, and by the way, we had a little fun mid and end credit. We had a fun mid-credit scene in Cars 1. We get nothing in Cars 2.
You get a decently animated, fucking kind of flat style.
Yeah, but it's not. It's nothing. And, they couldn't pay for just doing another sequence. That you have to get that in the fucking DLC, Mater fucking tunes and all that shit, Cars tunes, separately. It's the only way you get that. So...
They only spend fucking 3 minutes in the ending of Radiator Springs.
It's just something, dude.
I want it. I like Radiator Springs. The first movie was all about that and kind of more. So here's my plot. Here's my plot. I just thought about it while we were doing this. Is the whole spy shit. It's not about the race. It just puts it puts Radiator Springs at stake, and that's kind of the plot.
I just don't need Radiator Springs. It's such a small town, it's almost irrelevant to it being in danger. The danger of Radiator Springs was that everyone was going to die in a worthless town in the first movie. That was the whole stakes. It can't just be... Radiator Springs is such a small, minimal town that I don't see that... is that a better plot than 2? Probably. But it just doesn't seem it's too small to be...
Or either have it be a sports movie and just Lightning McQueen racing and shit.
Yeah.
And, having, giving all the racers actual personalities and shit, and give like sports drama or some shit like that.
So here's a cool end credit scene they could have had. Francesco is debate. So Luigi and Guido are debating what you just see it fades from black to the scene, right? And the camera's panning from the main street of Radiator Springs over to Luigi's tires, right? And you hear them yelling at each other. And who's yelling? It's fucking Francesco, Luigi, and fucking Guido about the certain tires. And he's like, no, you wear fucking white walls. He's like, who the fuck wears white walls? No one wears white walls anymore. It's like, that's what you do. You are Italian. It's like, that's it. And then it's like, you see that he's changed into white walls. And it's like, you know what? These aren't bad. Boom. That's it.
That would have been nice.
For a little fucking scene, 30 seconds. But
anything, honestly. But like,
Lasseter's smarter than we are, guys. All right? Fuck it. So
he'd smack asses and gets free hugs, and then he gets a what was it, condolence, not a package, a fucking, what's it called? It's a something's package.
He gets a severance package.
He's a severance package.
Yes. Crazy. Fucking insane.
Fuck, when I fucking smack asses and give unwanted hugs, I just get fired and just blacklisted from getting another job.
And it's
unfair, man.
And threats of prison time.
Yeah, threats of prison time.
Yeah, the normal shit. So let's talk about the legacy final thoughts, and then we'll talk about I had some story ideas I wanted to touch on as well. This was, in general, and just briefly here, I didn't want to we talked so much in the beginning that there's not too much here that we won't obviously get into at Cars 3, but this was thought of as truly the first Pixar film that lost that Pixar quality. I went through a bunch of reviews, not on YouTube, but this is still at a time when you had newspaper reviews that were thought of as, strong and all that shit, and it's a lot of them were like, man, this is truly the first Pixar film where it just did not have it. It fell off, and that thought of, is the Pixar quality dead? Truly, people thought that. So, again, we talked about the Cars 2 video game, or maybe we did. No, we didn't. So Cars 2 had a video game. It was cross-platform. It went to almost everything that was current gen at the time, as well as DS. So that actually had less content, apparently, than the Cars games of the previous era. There was no open world. It had just less content in general. Apparently it was still a good game, but it just lessened in quality. At the same time, like I said before, Planes is in development. So that's kind of the legacy of Cars 2. That's kind of how things went for that. Before we go any further, I do want to say, maybe Cars 2 should have just been a completely different set of cars. Maybe that's really where Cars 2 should have been. It should have just been, you change the cast, you invest research into a new setting.
Why even make them cars? Make them some kind of airborne vehicle. What would I say? Why are you face palming? I don't get what's going on here.
I just realized that is exactly what happened in Planes. Fuck. So that wouldn't have helped either, because that story's so fucking bad or basic. So again, the point about this is Cars just quickly jumps through we talked about this throughout the review. It just jumps through a number of settings and characters that would have made for a great focus or a great main character for a second feature, but it's just again, none of the secondary racing cars,
no mention of the racers from the first movie,
none of them get that. Well, I think Chick Hicks is basically thought of as he was just disrespectful when he was booted.
I know, but I was still.
But no one said, you're right. No one said anything about it in this movie. We don't get that information until Cars 3, which doesn't really tie in because the King is retired and Chick Hicks is the only other significant racer in that first movie.
I'm kind of excited to see Cars 3 now.
So none of them were. So my theory is the reason why we don't have a Disney Plus series with any of the racing, the secondary racing characters, is either they didn't think about it, or it's just because Disney Toon was killed off. They would have clearly been the ones to make a bunch of that Cars shit, because they were the key ones in doing a bunch of Cars spin-off material, Planes spin-off material. It was Disney Toon.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, again, the fact that they shuttered Disney tune at a time when they were about to launch a streaming service is very weird. And I think that it bit them in the ass.
I think they just want to play it safe and just have it about like Mater and Lightning McQueen be like the face of it. Just that's why Road Trip is like pretty much a sequel to Cars 3.
I haven't even watched that.
I plan on trying to watch it after.
Is it a long? Wait, is that a long? Is that a movie?
It's not a movie. It's a series.
It's a series. Fuck.
Disney Plus series, yeah.
Oh, there is a Disney Plus series?
Fuck. I thought you were ignoring it because it comes after Cars 3. I just
think I was just building off of
Cars Road Trip. Yeah,
I'm just building off of what we see in Cars 2, which is a massive amount of settings that could have been used as a delving point for more series.
But yeah, because what you're describing is a Disney Plus series based off like different racers. But like I was like, oh, he's not talking about Road Trip.
Yeah,
because Road Trip is a series of Mater and Lightning going on adventures.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hear it's interesting, so I'm going to watch it after I see Cars 3. Because it's, from what it sounds like, it's just a sequel to, like, Cars 3.
Cool. This was also the first film from Pixar that was not nominated for any Academy Award. So, yeah. That shit got booted. You talk about...
they made their money. They got what they were after.
They got $707 million.
They made their money at what cost?
$707 million. Apparently, it was a very popular Blu-ray at the time.
Not much cost, because they made that money.
Yeah. So,
but another thing is, like, some of this movie is, like, I guess, like, trying to be similar to, this movie was executed, like, a way this movie was executed better was, ever heard of the movie Beavis and Butthead Do America?
Nope. Hey man, you haven't watched the Last Airbender series, so go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I have.
Anyway, but continue. With your lies and slander. Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Yeah,
when did that come out? Was that after Cars 2?
90s.
Oh shit.
Alright, so look up a trailer to it while I pause it. Okay,
you could have just explained it, and then we could have just kept the fact we got finished on this review.
I'll explain, just pause
it.
You
just fuck.
Alright, so like a movie this is similar to is Beavis and Butthead Do America, and the plot of Beavis and Butthead Do America is like Beavis and Butthead are just like these fucking idiots, and they just like wander into a plot they're not supposed to be in, and it's like this like weird like kind of spy plot where they accidentally like take a device, and they keep stumbling in and out of it, and like people think they're masterminds who are very involved in the whole situation. And like they just keep escalating things, but not on purpose. They're oblivious to everything that's going on. And it's hilarious. And it's like this movie Cars 2 kinda wants to do that with Mater, but like it's in and out whether like people are like self-aware or not. And at a certain point Mater is just like he is self-aware, but he's just helping. And it just like it's not really that funny with it because his oblivious is not. The jokes are not really that well planned or well written with it, so it's not that charming. With Beavis and Butthead, it's just like it is like hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my god, night and day. I mean that would look.
I was just thinking about the Beavis and Butthead movie like while I was watching this. Is like they're trying to go for that type of thing, but like it's not really working here.
No, it definitely poorly a poor man's version. In terms of the writing and execution.
Oh yeah.
Of the Beavis and Butthead Do America. Yeah, man. I think it's so strange because without this movie is truly the midpoint of and we'll talk about this a little bit in Cars 3, where Cars 2 it's like, all right, Pixar kind of like the wave was still cresting upward and that kind of came and it still had heart. Again, like whether or not you like the Cars franchise. Most people admit Cars 1 is not the problem here. But then you get to Cars 2 and it's like, okay, this is significantly bad from Pixar. Like the standard this might have been like fine for Blue Sky, but the standard here from Pixar was like, what the fuck? Like even Despicable Me came out the same year and that did a better job than Cars 2 in storytelling.
Funny enough, I just wanted to mention it. The Muppets movie from 2011, there's very clear billboards in the background advertising Cars 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
You can't miss it. It's like in the middle of shots sometimes.
Yeah. That's disgusting, actually. Fuck that. That's like stains. So that's like stains.
I was just saying while I was watching, because Muppets 2 is a fine Muppets movie. It's not one of the best, but it's a fine, like, very wholesome, like, feel good Muppets movie.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but like it's that I'm like, do you have any other billboards? Like, I get it. Cars 2 is out.
Right.
Keep it.
We're now so close to the end of this stretch of Cars. It's beautiful. Until Cars 4 comes out. This has been Cartoon Chat, the animation conversation focused on Cars 2.
Next Cartoon Chat is going to be Cars 2 in Spanish. So we're gonna do the movie again, but like our thoughts about it in Spanish.
Mark,
then the French version.
That's not what Coco was called. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, of course you can find this right here at screenblastpodcast.com. That's screenblastpodcast.com.
Is that a fucking cat in here?
Second cat. Screenblastpodcast.com. Of course, where you can find Blasting Turbo Reports, our video game-centric conversation. You can find Screen Blast itself, our movie-centric conversation. And Mark and Bryan have a cow, our memified conversation of randomness. I was joined alongside the man who does random things.
Huh? Ah! Canine biscuits. Fucking cat hairs.
And, of course, we're also joined by Lucius. Guys, of course, appreciate you for watching.
Channel mascot.
And stay tuned
channel mascots.
for more.
Oh, get out, everybody! Ka-chow! Did I do it right?